Take your seats, please. Take your seats. We'd like to call the February 8th, 2024 Kenner Council meeting to order. Madam Clerk, are you ready? Where'd Natalie go? There she is.
She's ready for Mardi Gras, she said.
She's already at Muses, huh? She's gone. All right. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. At this time, any special intentions, please?
I have one.
Mayor Glazer.
Unfortunately, earlier today, Antonio Diaz, a 54-year-old, 10-year employee of Recreation and General Services, lost his fight. He was on the heart transplant list and passed away this morning.
That's terrible. Sorry to hear that. Any other intentions? Anyone? Okay, I'd like Councilwoman Christy McKinney to lead us in the prayer, please.
If you can bow your heads, please. Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, for it is your goodness that we have this day and the carnival season to celebrate on the threshold of the season of Lent. We thank you especially for one another. As we give you thanks, we are mindful of those who have so much less than we do. As we share these wonderful gifts together, we commit ourselves to greater generosity towards those who need our support. May we be blessed with safety, security, good weather, and the fellowship of our community throughout this carnival season. Amen. Amen.
I'd like to ask Mayor Glazer to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. You have a quorum this evening. Next, we have correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads.
Before we recognize Mayor Glazer, the fire department, Chief Morris and Jason Dyer wanted to say a few things about some employees that retired this week. Is that correct? All years, tell us.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'd like to congratulate and acknowledge 3 members of the Kenner Fire Department that served the community well, great members of the fire service that retired recently. One retired, Captain Lance Levy, after 34 years of service. And we had Assistant Chief Terry Lee, who had 33 years of service, and District Chief Ignacio Rosales with 33 years of service. They did a tremendous job in their time here in the Kenner Fire Department. Some people who come to work and you never know they're there, and some people leave their mark on the service, and those are 3 gentlemen that left their mark, and we'd like to wish them well on their future endeavors.
Are they here? Well, on behalf of the council and administration, everyone, we wish them well in their retirement. Please convey our thanks for all their years of service to the city of Kenner. And tell them to have a good Mardi Gras, good time to retire. Okay, Mayor Glazer, it's all yours.
All right, thank you. Being that you can look around with beads on people's necks, we're in the Mardi Gras season. So this Saturday in Kenner, we start with at 3 p.m. with Kenner Gras in Kenner City Park. We have entertainment, a band playing, food trucks, shortly followed by the Crew of ISIS, which begins at 6 p.m. on West Esplanade in the vicinity of the Applebee's. There was a slight change by the crew of the starting area because of just time that the owners of the Esplanade Mall responded to them. They had already picked another spot to make sure they had a place to begin their parade. Also, this coming Monday, 11 a.m. here in Rivertown, Kenner's annual Mardi Gras celebration, where the courts of the crew of Argus and Zulu meet, and entertainment will be by the Top Cats, which is out in the parking lot here on Williams. And we'll have another council meeting before this, but Sunday, February 25th, the Kenner Black Heritage Festival will take place in Heritage Park in Rivertown, which is right behind this building, beginning at 10 a.m., runs from 10 to 6. Next council meeting, we'll give more details on that. And also, Mr. President, in order for my comments on Agenda 8A to stay on a proposed Waste Pro contract, I'm going to take this opportunity to provide the residents of Kenner with the truth on how we got to this point with garbage collection. Garbage contracts have been discussed extensively in Kenner over the past few years, and I expect some discussion tonight. So I think the residents expect the vendor to abide by the terms of the contract. On November 27th, 2023, IV Waste, through this certified letter, informed the City of Kenner that they are terminating their contract effective March 1st, 2024. Neither me nor any other city employee tried to terminate, stop, or even complain about the garbage service provided by IV Waste. The decision not to live up to their contract and abandon the residents of Kenner is 100% the choice of Sidney Torres and IV Waste. Sidney Torres and IV Waste quit Kenner. So it's all started. I'm going to give you a brief timeline. Councilman Brannigan knows this. The initial meeting with Sidney Torres, for whatever reason it was July 27th, 2022 in my office. Really don't know what the meeting was about. He wanted to come meet us, and that's pretty much it. So September 28th, 2022, after a complaint from one of our Public Works employees, we met with Sidney Torres and Julie Tafaro to discuss IV Waste truck patterns around the city's public work yard. This in itself raised concerns why the trucks were even at the yard. In that meeting, Sidney Torres began to ask for $400,000 for building the drop site 2 years ago, and that he was still owed the money. So what that prompted me to do is in October to start reviewing the contract and invoices and look at the whole service. November 3rd, 2022, the city attorney informed me about serious billing issues, discrepancies with IV Waste invoicing. What we learned on the garbage side of the contract, IV Waste added unit numbers that increased their invoice total. They were adding service units. But the real issues were with bulky waste and recycling. For example, when IV Waste's boom truck picks up debris from a residence, it's brought to the city's public works yard and dumped instead of bringing it to a landfill. The dumped debris eventually makes it to a roll-off container. IV Waste would then charge another fee to bring that container to a landfill. With recycling, IV Waste would pick it up, and even though the contract states that once picked up, they own it, they'd bring it to the city's public works yard and dump it. Then an IV Waste employee would determine if anything was contaminated. The so-called contaminated waste would be put in a container and sent to the landfill, and they'd charge us again. The non-contaminated waste would be put in a container and shipped to a Baton Rouge area recycling processing plant, and they'd bill us again. November 10th, 2022, the decision was made to reduce invoice totals, the payment for November. We decided to start paying them for the contract called for. We refused to pay the first-time invoice labeled supplementary services fee for $48,444 on top of the same fee invoiced amount as recycling fee. Clear duplication of billing for service. Recycling and drop site are supplementary services, one fee for both. It's been like that since these contracts have been around. Suddenly, IV Waste invoiced separately and continued to invoice separately until we reassigned supplementary services to Ramelli. After we cut the invoice total payment and refused to pay the duplicate fee, IV Waste shuts down the drop site and threatens to not pick up garbage the next day. So we agreed to pay the believed overage amount under protest just to keep garbage service in the city of Kenner, but we did not pay the second duplicate fee. November 14th, 2022, met with IV Waste and Sidney Torres to discuss overages and fees charged outside the contract terms. December 16th, November, invoices paid in full but under protest. Second month to keep the garbage service. Again, we didn't pay the duplicate fee, invoiced their supplementary services, $48,440. We also canceled the $12,000 to $15,000 a month street sweeping service. There was no contract for street sweeping service. The city of Kenner has a street sweeper. No idea why the city paid IV Waste over $400,000 to operate this street sweeper. January 1, 2023, drop site returns to open on weekends only. January 10th, 2023, met with Sidney Torres to try to discuss his invoicing. Sidney then discussed IV Waste leaving the city if we continue to take away services not in the contract like street sweeping. He also talked about selling us his 3-year-old cans, or it's approximately 3-year-old cans. 8 days later, January 18th, 2023, IV Waste offered to sell the city used cans from anywhere from $2 to $2.5 million. That's more than he paid for brand new. Everything I'm saying is actually backed up by fact and letters from him. Here's his attorney's letter to buy the cans. January 2023, we get a settlement letter. IV offered to continue all services if we would pay more than the contract terms allowed. Pretty much we'd pay what he was billing us for. IV Waste wanted payment for 23,095 service units, which is above the 22,000 units that exist under the contract. IV Waste count includes multiple duplicate addresses, addresses that are vacant lots, or addresses that simply don't exist. IV Waste wanted us to pay $2.10 for recycling, plus $1.10 for the drop site operation, totaling $3.20 instead of the $2.10 for both services as the contract states. He also wanted us to agree to CPI increases for services that weren't even eligible for the increases, roll-offs and recycling. The contract never allows for CPI increase on roll-offs, and CPI kicks in recycling in 5 years. We haven't even reached 5 years yet. IV Waste started taking CPI increase on recycling in July 2021. And also, settlement was we would drop our claims on IV Waste overbilling. Not once did IV Waste ever make an offer to settle the overbilling. Here's your letter from his attorney trying to sell us some cans and settlement. So, January 27, 2023, because I would not agree with IV Waste settlement offer to their continued billing the residents of Kenner, the decision was made to inform IV Waste to stop performing supplemental services, which is the recycling and drop site. February 10th, 2023, IV Waste filed suit over suspended supplemental services, the recycling drop-off site. We countersue them for all claims and overbilling. Here's their lawsuit. February 14th, 4 days later, I held a press conference to inform the residents of the change in supplementary services and spoke about IV Waste overbilling. The dollar amounts I talked about were obtained from IV Waste's invoices. That's where these numbers come from, their invoices. The change from IV Waste decreased the city's cost approximately $100,000 per month. That's what was stated in the press conference. Since then, in the 11 months since that press conference, we've learned that IV Waste invoices for supplementary services was $986,953.56 over the contracted amount. So it's pretty much dead on with my approximate that is about $100,000 a month. March 1st, 2023, Ramelli starts recycling and operating a drop site. April 1st, Ramelli invoiced for supplemental services, $2.10 times 22,000 units, which is $46,200 a month. That's it. June 21st, 2023, District Court in Gretna, 24th JDC, ruled against IV Waste. Their motion for summary judgment was denied. November 16th, Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against IV Waste by denying their writ application. November 27th, 2023, IV Waste sends notice of termination of contract. The last pickup day will be February 29th, 2024. That's the first letter I sent you. A few days after that, December 5th, 2023, I met with Bob Ramelli to inform them of IV Waste's decision to stop providing garbage services in Kenner on March 1st, 2024. Told him to let us know if there'd be any issues with him resuming services. He said he was able to do it, but had concerns on the number of cans he had remaining that weren't damaged by the city when they were picked up in 2020. December 7th, at the request of Kyle France, I met Jesse Murphy of Waste Pro in my office. Jesse Murphy said Waste Pro can pick up garbage in Kenner for $18 a service unit. 2 weeks later, December 21st, after thinking about Waste Pro's offer, I met with Jesse Murphy and the city attorneys to confirm the $18 unit cost and discuss the length of a contract. From the recent garbage contracts in neighboring parishes and municipalities, we have a good idea what the going rate for garbage collection would be if we RFP'd this service now and anticipate what it would be in 2 years. Then I thought the long-term savings for the residents outweighed the short-term increase. January 4th, 2024, I met with council members McKinney, Brennan, Brannigan, and Schwarth in separate meetings on the same day to inform them of Waste Pro's offer and explain the potential long-term savings. January 5th, met with council members Dunn, Lahat, Wilmot, and informed them also of Waste Pro's offer. Item 8A is on the agenda today solely because Sidney Torres and IV Waste terminated their contract. Plain and simple. No politics, just greed. And those of you that pay attention in court, in every court appearance so far, IV Waste attorneys said, I'm trying to run them out of the city to benefit my friend Barbara Melly. Let me be clear. I met Barbara Melly only after I announced I was running for mayor. Now, since that narrative no longer works, I'm interested to hear what IV Waste's next story, because we know it will change. In my over 30 years in law enforcement, I've dealt with people like this. If they can't beat the facts, they focus their efforts on trying to beat up the officer. That tactic didn't work then, and it will not work now. The citizens of Kenner are smart and can see through the lies and deception. They demonstrated that in 2022 with 75% of the vote. And again in the most recent election when they elected Arita Bohannon to Jefferson Parish Council over the heavily backed Sidney Torres candidate. Remember why we're here today. Sidney Torres and IV Waste quit Kenner. That's backed up by every fact, every court ruling, and every letter sent to me. So I'm sure he's going to cry and say, I'm sure I'm going to get a defamation letter to make up something, but I'll put anything you want on our website, maybe not our website, but on anything I had to get out, so you can read this stuff yourself. We get more public records requests from two people that we have in upward every telephone call from our phones, every text message, and every email. Going back to January of 2021 when I was a chief of police, they weren't even employed here. That's the stuff we're dealing with. And it's a constant. So you just throw a lot of stuff, try to cause confusion with the people. But I can tell you what, I was elected to be a stewardship of the city funds, and there's nobody coming in here getting what they don't deserve. If the contract calls for it, we'll pay you and be happy. But if you're trying to do something to get more out of the city of Kenner, it's not happening under this watch. And sorry for taking all your time. I wanted to get that in because I wanted to stay on the Waste Pro contract when it came up and not kind of deviate off that contract. But I'm done.
Thank you, Mayor Glazer. And I know we all have comments on 8A, but we're going to reserve that once we get to the item number instead of me saying anything at this point. So let's go ahead and keep going. Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Under the consent agenda, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of January 26, 2024. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2382-24, Optimum Holistic and Alternative Care, to hold a public gathering on October 5th, 2024 from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. for the purpose of a class reunion at Veterans Park in Kenner, Louisiana. Item 4 is acceptance and rejection of bids requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 5 is change orders requiring an expenditure of less than $5,000. We have none. Item 6 is acceptance of committee findings for final passage. We have none. Item 7 is re-subdivision ordinances for final passage, and we have none.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. Council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 8, public hearings and final passage. Item 8A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,448, an ordinance approving an agreement with Waste Pro of Louisiana Incorporated for the collection and transportation of garbage or trash within the corporate limits of the city of Kenner, Louisiana for a period of 10 years and providing for related matters.
Motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to open the public hearing on this matter. Council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Okay. All right, we're on the garbage issue. Is anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on this matter, please? All right, looks like Al got up there first. Everybody that speaks, of course, by council rules, you have 3 full minutes. I will time you, and you won't be interrupted, but we're interested to see what you have to say. So, Mr. Morella, let's go ahead and get going.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. Is there a representative from Waste Pro in the audience, please? Councilman Lahat, I would like to speak, if I could, after the representative from Waste Pro, if you don't mind. Can we do that? Because I posed a question at the last meeting, and I'd like him to come up here and answer it.
Well, he's going to definitely come up here, and we're going to, since we have so many people speaking on this matter today, I'm going to ask you to finish all your thoughts and the questions. And once he gets up, if he doesn't answer everything, you get to come back up towards the end, you know that, and readdress. Okay,
Right.
so let's go ahead and get all your stuff out right now.
Okay, I'm gonna direct this to the representative sitting in here. Question is the same as it was at the last county council meeting. I wanna know, what are we getting that we don't already have for that 35% increase in our solid waste collection? I wanna know in detail, what it is, and if it's not acceptable, then you'll know about it in the end when the public comment portion comes around. That's all I have to say, Councilman Lahat.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Mr. Taft, how are you doing today?
Doing fine, thank you, sir.
You got 3 minutes, and let's get started now, please.
Greg Taft, 5th District. My issues are just very simple. My first issue is we're raising the fee to $18, which is approximately $5, at a time when we're already having problems going to the grocery store. We got high insurance on automobiles, homeowners, and now we're going to layer the garbage fee on top of that. And plus, you know, we're already paying Romali for the recycling. Now, that $18 is actually more than we were paying IV Waste for both the recycling and the garbage. So now we've got the recycling, which is higher. We got now the garbage at 18, which we used to pay, I would think we was around 17, 16, 17 with IV Waste doing both, the recycling and the garbage. That's my issue, plain and simple. Why are we wanting to pay somebody else more and what we was paying IV Waste? Now, I heard the mayor, and all I want to say in regards to what he said, with all due respect, as I understand it, and again, I'm a simple person, so I could have misunderstood, but as I understood it, when this recycling came up, the city, it came up because the city was actually paying it instead of the residents. And then we brought the recycling, we made an amount on the recycling, which the citizens then would pay along with the garbage pickup, instead of at that time the city subsidizing it. And as I understood it, it was 2 different bills that would go with that. One bill was for the waste pickup, and the other bill would be for that the citizens was paying for recycling. Now, and at that time, Segura was the acting mayor when all this was kind of going around. And because he was using the mayor's salary because he was still with Jefferson Parish. He hadn't came over yet. But recycling became a separate deal that would be paid to the vendor. Now, if that's the way the city wanted it set up, then I don't know why that would be a problem now that we didn't have this, why we would say it was overpaid. Now,
Mr. Taft, I'm sorry, but your 3 minutes has expired. I really appreciate you coming here today.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. All right, who we got next? Stacy, how are you doing today?
Good evening. I'm doing well, thank you. Stacy Alessandro, District 4. I actually just have a few questions for Waste Pro, so if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and say those
Get
now.
all the questions out now, and then we're
Okay.
going to make sure if they're not answered, you can always come up towards the end, because I know it's a big issue, okay?
Yeah. So, speaking of garbage, I do want to thank the mayor for that excellent presentation. It really enlightened us on everything, that's happening with the garbage contract. It was very eye-opening, and very depressing, but hopefully our garbage will start going in the right direction now. So for Waste Pro, my questions are regarding the garbage cans. Will they be brand new? And what type are they? And who is paying for these garbage cans? And then we've had a lot of problems, which I'm sure you're in the garbage industry, so you've been following the saga in Kenner. We've had a lot of problems with backdoor deals and stuff prior to all this. Would you please let the public know if there were any meetings prior to your meetings with the city of Kenner with anybody who discussed with you this particular garbage contract? Who else was involved in procuring this contract? Was Nicky Nicolosi involved in this one, as he's been involved in the previous ones? And finally, there's a lot of talk on social media that former Mayor Yenny works for you in some capacity. So would you please clear the air and just let us know, did he have anything to do with you getting this contract? Is he on your payroll in any way, shape, or form? Is he a lobbyist? Is he connected in any way to this contract? And if so, just please disclose it. I think that's enough. Thank you, guys.
All right, Stacy, thank you so much. All right, next up, Mr. Richard Brown. How you doing today, Richard?
Hey there. Thank you, Mr. President. Richard Brown, Sessions Lane, District 4 in Kenner. I think I can be very brief because I spoke on this topic when it was on the agenda for first reading. I support this ordinance. I don't like the position the city of Kenner is in. I don't like the position that IV Waste put us in. But they're going to stop picking up garbage in exactly 3 weeks, 21 days from today. We've got to do something. I would rather this new contract be for a little less money. But we are 7 years into a 10-year contract. Surely people don't expect the price to remain the same. And this will be a new contract. I support this despite whatever shortcomings there may or may not be in the request for proposals process or deciding who to award the contract to. I've looked at the statistics. Kenner will still have the lowest cost for both garbage and for recycling anywhere in the entire New Orleans metropolitan area, and even extending out to some other parts of Louisiana and Mississippi. With this contract, we will have the cheapest rate for garbage pickup, and it'll be twice a week. Some places like New Orleans only get once a week, and recycling. And by the way, to just make a comment on the mayor's comments, it's my understanding that since Ramelli started handling the recycling, that he has saved the city of Kenner over $100,000 a month, over $1 million since he took over the recycling. That difference was due to what appears to be the overbillings by IV Waste. But I support this proposal, and I hope that you ratify the contract. Thank you. Anyone have any questions for me?
I don't think so. Thank you, Richard. We appreciate you being here today. Okay. All right, next up, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fine. Karen Nugent, 5444 Erlanger Road, District 3.
You 3 minutes, all yours?
Okay. I am personally, I make assessments and decisions based on facts. I don't make them based on politics. I don't make them based on personal feelings. And so admittedly, I am lacking some of the facts. So I have some questions that I'd like the council to address. I am not an attorney, so I don't understand the standing of a consent decree. I have not read the consent decree to know, what it said, But it's my understanding that those are legally binding documents or decisions. And so it's, excuse me, that's my husband's diabetes monitor, sorry. Okay, where was I? Oh, okay. That is a legally binding document, and again, it's my understanding that the city of Kenner has chosen to ignore that. Please, if I'm wrong, please correct me. I hear just, you know, consent decrees in relation to New Orleans and the police and this, that, and the other, and they seem to me like they're important. You know, and in a time where people have seemed to lose their perspective on what's right and what's wrong, or that it's okay to ignore authority, this is concerning to me. So that's really my first question. I don't know, again, if doing that is going to cause us to incur even more legal fees. The transparency, you know, I heard your report. It was enlightening. I did have the same question about the $18 that we are contracting for. I do have some concerns about a 10-year contract. Maybe that's the norm, and I understand the longer period you contract for, generally the better deal you can get. But, you know, since this is such a controversial thing, I mean, what happens if they don't do a good job? What happens if the citizens are not happy? I'm sure, hopefully, there are clauses in that contract that could get us out in those circumstances, but it just strikes me that 10 years is a very long contract. I'm trying to read my own writing. I do have the same question about what relationship there is with the potentially new provider to Yenny. I don't really understand the, again, the cost figures. You know, I'm an accountant, so I don't have a good handle on that. And I guess my alternative is to do a public records request to get all these documents. Not sure.
And Ms. Nugent, sorry, your 3 minutes is up.
Okay.
Sorry
All
about
right.
that.
I think
But
that's it.
Appreciate you coming tonight. Tell Ryan I said hello wherever he is. Okay, we're still in public hearing on 8A. Does anybody else in the audience wish to address us on that issue? I don't see anybody. We'll close the public hearing, then we can start discussion. Okay. All right, motion by Councilmember Lahat, second by Councilmember Brennan to close the public hearing. Councilmembers in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Okay. So now we're on the 8A approval, correct?
Yes, so you can put your motion on your floor. Motion and second, and then you can proceed with your discussion by
Okay,
your
motion
council
by Councilmember. I think there's something off here.
Excuse me, Ms.
Yes.
Can we let Waste Pro maybe speak? And
That's what I'm gonna, yeah, that's what I'm gonna
Okay,
do.
let's make
Yeah,
sure.
I'm calling him up in a minute. Is something,
Motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to approve. Now you can have your discussion.
got it, okay. Sorry, I missed the procedural step. Yeah, so at this point, I do want to bring the Waste Pro representative up, please, to tell us a little bit about his company. There'll be a lot of questions, obviously, and discussion by the council on this. All right, thank you for coming today. You can say your name for everybody and who you represent and what company you're with.
Yep. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Jesse Murphy, 4237 Illinois Avenue in Kenner. I'm with Waste. I'm Regional Vice President for Waste Pro Louisiana. And I'll let
I'm Jolene Johnson. I handle the Regional Director of the Government Contracts for Waste Pro in Louisiana. And our office is over here on Kenner Avenue at 920 Kenner Avenue.
All right. So, yep, thanks again for giving me the opportunity to speak. First, I'd like to, I'll say a little something about myself and Waste Pro, and then I'll be happy to answer all the questions that everyone had. Again, Jesse Murphy. I'm a lifelong resident of Kenner in Illinois Avenue. Have plenty of family and friends that live in Kenner. My mother still lives in Kenner. I'm a graduate of class of 95 of Bonneville High School, and I am the regional vice president of Waste Pro. Waste Pro is a privately owned company. One of the things I do want to say is, because I've seen, you know, of course, I've been following social media, I am a shareholder in Waste Pro. So I'm not just someone that was appointed, and I also have 32 years of waste experience in this industry. I didn't, you know, just a few years ago decide to be in garbage. I grew up in this. I started when I was 15 years old for a private company working after school in a mechanic shop. So I've owned my own waste business. I've worked for the largest waste company in the world, and I've also, now I'm here at Waste Pro. I've been with Waste Pro since 2015. We are the largest privately owned waste company in the U.S. We're in the 10 states in southeastern U.S. with over 80 locations, 20 landfills. Here in Louisiana, I manage all operations in Louisiana. I have 5 hauling companies and 3 landfills right here in southeast Louisiana. Well over 100 pieces of 100 trucks. So, you know, our availability is how we're able to pull this off in such a short notice. I know some people ask about RFP process. From industry experience, 90 days, that was the notice. The RFP process is impossible for a 22,000 home contract. So by the time you build an RFP, put it out, get responses, evaluate it, I was fortunate due to our size that, you know, we already have, you know, we pre-purchase, you know, over 200 trucks a year that are ready because we know we're swapping out equipment due to age, different things like that, as well as we regularly buy carts. Our manufacturer that we buy carts from keeps a really nice supply on hand because, again, we're, you know, a large company. So I was able to pull this off. I mean, just having a company that by the time they would get awarded, you know, something and say move forward, it would be very difficult. So an RFP process would have been really challenging. I want to say that. As far as just to start answering some of the questions, I know there's been a lot of questions about Mike Yenny. Mike Yenny, of course, I live in Kenner. Mike Yenny's Kenner. I know Mike Yenny. He has worked for Waste Pro in the past selling roll-off or commercial containers. He has had nothing to do and has nothing to do with municipal contracts for me. And with that being said, Jolene, she is my Director of Government Relations. She's been the Director of Government Relations for Louisiana since before I was the Vice President. So anybody's welcome to look at any municipalities that I service in the state of Louisiana, City of Gonzales, City of Morgan City, City of Denham Springs, City of New Orleans, City of Hammond, East Feliciana Parish, Assumption Parish, and ask any of them if they've ever talked to a Mike Yenny. So Mike Yenny has nothing to do with this, me being here today with the City of Kenner. The other part to that is everybody knows, I just said I've been doing this for 32 years. I've owned my own waste company, and I've been with Waste Pro since 2015. No one in this room has seen anything negative for me or my business. So all of a sudden today, I'm not going to do it because I'm, you know, would like the opportunity in Kenner. The bottom line is, yes, this is a big opportunity for me. I live here. I don't know how many people remember, but I stood at the council meeting a few years ago asking to have the opportunity. I was not given the opportunity. But with that being said, I mean, it means a lot. You know, even after that contract was awarded to IV Waste, Romelli was struggling at the end to pick up the trash. The last week, I sent trucks to pick up the trash. Now, I sent trucks to the City of Kenner to pick up the trash for a contract that I knew just got awarded for 10 years. That did not happen because I felt that there was any opportunity there to gain, other than the fact that I didn't want the city that I live in, my family lives in, my friends live in, to have trash on the ground. So I wanted to remind people of that. As far as the, I'm trying to remember all the questions, but yeah, okay, the $18. Where, number one, as was mentioned, the $18 is still way cheaper than any other municipal contract in this area. With that being said, the reason I charge more, or the reason why I ask for my price is, a lot of people may not realize it, but all my drivers are on a 4-day work week. Every driver in Louisiana is on a 4-day work week. I value my employees and a work-life balance. So with that being said, what typically they make working 5 or 6 days at another company, they make working 4 days for me. All of my employees' pay rates are anywhere from a minimum of $3 to sometimes $8 higher than all my competitors. I pay my employees well. I pay all of their lunches. If my driver goes 3 years without an accident, they get a $10,000 bonus. Every year, every employee at the end of the year gets a $250, which we call it a gift, based off of how they've performed throughout the year. And each year they're employed goes up $250, and it's paid the paycheck before Christmas. So all my employees get a check that's I not say all, because the ones that just start with us, but I mean, I've got tenured employees that get $2,500 right before Christmas. So my trucks, anybody that's ever wanting to come to my facility, and then after this meeting, I'll be happy to share my number, my card. We have an extensive maintenance program on our trucks. Every day, our trucks come through what we call safety lane, where we have a manager out there, we have a maintenance technician out there. So anybody can sit on Kenner Avenue and see all my trucks pull in, they fuel up, and then they come through the safety lane and they get inspected every day. That's not like I said, anybody's welcome to sit on Kenner Avenue and watch that, which is right around the corner. That's the things that we do that set us apart from our competition. Me running a 4-day work week has worked really well for us. I don't know exactly for a fact, but I do think that we were the only garbage company after Ida that did not ask any of our municipalities to cut back services. We didn't have to tell any municipality, we don't have enough staff, we don't have enough trucks, so we're going to reduce from twice a week to once a week for 45 days, for 60 days. We're going to suspend recycling because we got to concentrate on picking up the garbage. We didn't do any of that. Every one of my municipalities were picked up with the services they pay us for without us requesting. So again, that goes back to paying my employees well, working them a 4-day work week. At any time, I have enough drivers in the state of, just in Louisiana, not counting southern Mississippi that's nearby, but at any time, what happened was when we had employees displaced, at the flip of a switch, I just work employees a 5th or 6th day for a few weeks till the employees all get back in their homes, but I still have enough staff to support all of my contracts in my business. So we offer, and I can go on and on about the benefits, from a 401k with a percentage match to, full, I could go on and on with everything that we offer that contributes to why that rate is there. Now, the other part to that is it's still going to be the lowest rate in this area. And I know that if an RFP would have been done, the cheapest rate would have probably been in the low to mid 20s. I mean, Jefferson Parish is at 25 for twice a week service. Now, no recycle with it. So, I mean, this is a good rate that I proposed because I knew the situation. Again, I'm a resident of Kenner. The carts will be 95-gallon carts. The brand that I use is a company called REJECTION. Oh, I'm sorry, it was Stacy, yep. And they're brand new, and I'm paying for them. I know I was offered to purchase the existing carts. We decided not to, because, you know, one of the things that the mayor was like, well, you're getting a brand new contract, we should have brand new carts. And I understandable. Trust me, that cost me, out of my pocket, an additional $800,000 from what I would have been paying IV that I had negotiated with IV. You know, and so it cost me out of my pocket for that money, but we felt it was fair that the city of Kenner, with a new contract, got brand new carts. And I was in the position, given the amount of business that I do with my vendor that has these carts stocked for us, that I was able to pull it off to get new carts in such a short period of time. Yeah, if we are, it's voted tonight that we will be the new vendor, the carts will start getting delivered as, you know, next week.
Mr. Murphy,
Yep.
talking to the mic,
sorry.
because you're live on Facebook, and if you do this,
Okay, yeah.
we'll get bad comments. No one can hear you. Some people are, you know, at home or sick. They can't
Okay.
attend, so they need,
Yep,
they need to be able to
yeah.
hear it. Okay.
So if we are awarded the contract, carts will start getting delivered as early as next week.
Okay. I'm going to start with you.
Yeah.
You want to jump in or?
Well, I just want to make sure, just the service, is it going to change, the days, the bulky waste?
No.
Just explain that, because
So the service will stay at twice a week. We're not changing any days. I'm actually running additional trucks than what the two previous vendors were running. We are picking up, we're running helpers on back to trucks. We're running rear loaders. We're not running ASLs with the arm. So we're going to pick up outside the cart. Yeah, second collection day is when we're going to run the clamshell to pick up all the bulky waste. Originally, it was, you know, because we always put a limit on bulky waste, because if not, you could have someone, if you don't have a limit, you could have someone tear down a house and push it to the road, and you're obligated to pick it up. So, you know, normally that's, you know, anywhere from 3 to 6 yards, and the mayor and his staff, you know, really pushed, and I agreed to pick up to 10 yards out for bulky waste. 10 yards is like half of a roll-off container. So it's a lot of waste. So we're going to pick that up on second collection day, and again, I mean, you know, the service. I know someone asked about the service. We, you know, Waste Pro, that's all we have to offer is a service. You know, I mean, I'm not offering a product, it's service. So the reason that we have been successful here with our growth in Southeast Louisiana is due to the service we provide. And I'd be happy to share, you know, any references to municipalities, you're welcome to call on what we do. I mean, we started Morgan City November, and I got a letter from them on the job that we're doing, and it wasn't, I didn't even ask for it, but they just felt that they had to share that you know, the job that we're doing, and we just started that one. So again, that's.
So, yeah, I'll start from the council side, asking you questions. We'll have a bunch of them for you, and thank you for being here.
Yep.
Let's talk about the arm and the service. They're going to be the same days per week. You have the assisted arm, but you will have the hoppers that operate in the back of the pickup, the garbage trucks that go to houses, correct?
Yeah, we're not running what they call a ASL, an automated truck. We're not running the one with the arm.
I've heard a lot of complaints in other areas that have that, and people are not satisfied. Look, I've lived in Kenner since 17, since I've lived here. Ramelli and Ivy Waste has always taken everything from my house. I've never really had a complaint outside of sometimes there's one or two things, but it's always resolved. Anything I put out there when I moved into my house, I put a ton of stuff out there, and they would come and take everything. Same thing with Ivy Waste. I've never had a problem with them either. I'll talk about some of that later. But in your company, you will have men that will come, in addition to the arm, and put stuff in the garbage.
We're running semi-automated trucks, which
Okay.
are the rear loaders, that will have helpers on the back.
Okay, and you're,
And-
you
and-
go ahead,
and
yeah,
we
you can
will-
jump in.
Yep, and we will.
It does not have the arm that you're talking about. You're talking about the ASL, which is the arm on the side of the truck that picks up the can. No, it's the one that we empty in the back of the truck.
Okay,
Rear load, yeah.
Yeah, and they'll, yes, so we're running.
thank you for
rear-
distinction, thank you.
We're running rear loaders with helpers, and we are gonna pick up outside the cart.
Okay, yes, we have these questions too. The $18 CPI index we always talk about. You referenced earlier Jefferson's price is a lot higher than the proposed price you were offering for Kenner, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, you said it was 25?
I don't know the exact rate, but I think it's 25.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I have the sheet in front of me. I just didn't remember it offhand. So you're offering the $18 for, on the 10-year contract for several years?
It's 18, and then there's a CPI each year.
Okay, CPI, but we're starting with the 18.
Yeah.
And the CPI increases in what year, Michelle? I know it's an industry standard thing. 25, then it'll adjust at that point. But that's industry standard how that operates. I'm just trying to
Yes.
understand this.
No, yes, sir. Industry standard is an annual CPI.
Okay. And the previous CPI we have with the prior contract with Ivy Waste obviously was less because it was formed back in 2016. Is that correct? Okay. Just things go up over time. We all understand that. So I just need to understand the math. The routes will be the same. People will have the same pickup times.
People will have, well, let me say this. They will have the same days. I don't know where IV or Romelli started the routes and ended the routes, but we're not changing days, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
I don't have access to their routes, so they may start on one street and I'm starting on a different one. And it's going to be a little different because I believe they run maybe 8 or 9 trucks. I don't know exactly how many they run, maybe 10. You know, we're going to be running, because Mondays and Thursdays are big days, so we're going to be running 12 trucks on a Monday and a Thursday, and 9. So we're going to have more trucks on the street. So with that being said, the routes are going to be different, but no one's days are going to change.
Okay. And the carts, the garbage cans at people's houses, they're once you deliver them, are they city property at that point?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
We're providing the carts, we're maintaining the carts. At the end of my contract, the city owns the carts.
So, if ever down the road something changes, which you don't want that to happen, obviously. Considering we've been through the last 6 years before I even got here, but the carts remain the same. There won't be any more switcheroos. This is the last time we're going to have that, it appears, in my view, in the city of Kenner. We'll have a new carpet delivered by your company to every resident by the end of this month. Is that
Yes.
what I understand?
They'll be delivered.
There'll be one
right
cart.
before one.
Okay. The residents want an additional cart. Can they buy an additional cart?
Yes, they can.
Okay. The current carts that people have purchased from IV, the additional carts, I have one of those. Can the residents keep those additional carts that they already purchased? And will your company pick those up?
So what I'd like to do is any resident, and I'm going to do this for the residents that have already purchased a cart and paid for a cart, if they have proof of that, whether it's a check or even an email, just something that they actually purchased the additional cart, I will give them a Waste Pro cart for free and pick that cart up.
Okay.
That,
I don't know if I have that, but I'll have to look.
yeah,
me
no, I
personally.
mean, I understand, but
yeah.
I don't expect someone that paid for a second cart to pay me again, even though that's
Okay.
a free. It's coming out of my pocket, but if we, for the city to look uniform and to know who's got what, if someone has a second cart and asks me, I will swap it out free of charge.
Okay, and your company will be responsive to any complaints. If your garbage truck actually runs over somebody's lawn or something, you will respond to, because that happens in this industry. Like Ivy Waste was responsible to that. Anytime our residents had an issue with Ivy Waste, they came out and handled it. So I want to make sure we're getting the same thing.
Absolutely. So, here, at this location, in our New Orleans location, we have a division manager who's actually in the audience tonight. We have 2 operations manager, and that division has 5 supervisors. Our yard's right across the street, so City of Kenner is going to be, when there's a request, there's no reason we can't get to it, you know, if not same day, definitely next day. And there's a dedicated supervisor to this contract that will be in the streets every day in a pickup truck with these trucks. So we'll be able to respond very quickly.
Okay.
You know.
On the bulk pickup days, doesn't the current contract have a crane that comes out sometimes and lifts up? Are y'all doing that as well?
Yes, we're going to run this, call it a clamshell truck.
Okay.
We're running that on second collection day.
And then the 10 square, I think it's square, cubic
Cubic yards.
I keep saying feet over and over again. Okay, so that's the garbage you can put around the cans.
Yes.
That the residents can put out.
Yes.
That your company will pick up with your gentlemen, or maybe have some women, I have no
Yes.
idea, come pick up the garbage, and they'll take everything surrounding that. And if there's an issue, if maybe you skip a house or something, there is a number that they'll be able to call and to get you guys back out there to pick it up.
No,
pick it up.
absolutely, and we're going to tag all the, you can speak, we're going to.
Just to backtrack a little bit on the carts. The carts will have serial numbers, and we'll provide those back to the city, and they'll be assigned to each address so that you can coordinate that with the address in your accounts as well.
Okay.
But yes, on the carts, we're going to have a sticker on the top that tells who we are and that these carts are yours. Please start using them on March 1st, not before, because I'm sure Ivy's not going to pick them up if you put your garbage in there. But also, you'll have our phone number, and we also have an email address solely for Kenner that goes to all of our supervisors, like what Jesse was talking about, and the ops boss, and Jesse himself. So it goes to all of us. We'll get the email if somebody wants a second cart, or if they say, hey, the truck passer, you know, if for some reason it got skipped or something, they can email us, and it'll have the phone number. Plus, in addition to putting the sticker on the cart, we're going to email a postcard to every address that has an account in this city as well, giving them all of our information and telling this information again that your collection day is not changing. We're happy to be here, and so we've got all that in the works. So if this is a go, then that's what we're going to do.
Okay. Probably have some more questions, but I'm going to take a break for a minute, and everybody just raised their hand. I saw George first, but George gets to go first. I'm sorry, Tom. Councilman Brannigan, but we'll go to Councilwoman after that, and then Councilwoman McKinney, please.
Yes, I have a couple of questions. The claw truck, does the stuff have to be bundled in 2-foot by 6-foot bundles when y'all pick it up, or? I mean, because my problem with that is if you go pick that up, it's plucking it up anyway. Yeah.
So I can't remember exactly if it says it has to be containerized or bundled, but I could, yeah, it's gonna be stacked in stacks. But to your point, like I said, I've been doing this a long time. I agree with you 100%. We're not, if it's not bundled, we're still gonna pick it up. We're gonna let, that clause gonna pick it up. Because like you said.
Yeah, but so if we tell the residents that, you know, it's gotta be in 6-foot lengths or 4-foot lengths or whatever, at the most, then the claw truck will pick it up. That would work. But when you bundle it up and you pick it up with the claw, it busts it up anyway.
It busts up.
It makes no sense to do that.
Correct. And the reason why they use the term containerized is so someone cleans out a house and it's just kids' toys or a blanket, and they just throw it out by the street. You know, I mean, if it could cause a mess, you know, right. But that claw can still pick it up. But that's why I use. But it does not have to be bundled. The claw can pick it up.
Okay. Second question I have is, I have a couple of residents that have handicap stickers on their garbage cans and their recycle cans with lamellae. And right now, what they do is the guy on the truck actually goes and gets their can from in front of their garage and brings it to the street and then puts it back for them.
Yeah, if we're provided that list of addresses, and again, I believe normally to be on that list, it's verified that that person is handicapped or elderly, and if we're provided that list, we will provide that service.
Okay. You hit on a lot of the other questions I had already. Something else may come back.
Okay. Councilman Tom Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for coming tonight,
Thank you.
Mr. Murphy. I do have a few questions, and you touched on some of them already, but I'm going to start off by, first off, the company that you represent, Waste Pro. I understand you have you're somewhat located here in Kenner as a main office, but I also see on the Secretary of State's website that you have some type of Florida connection. Can you explain that?
Yes, sir. So our corporate office is in Longwood, Florida. Our regional office is in Kenner. I'm the regional vice president. So my regional office is located at 920 Kenner Avenue.
Okay, so it's based, if you will, in both states, Florida and Louisiana.
We're actually in 10 states, but our corporate office is in Longwood, Florida. And
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
On paper, you're showing Florida and Louisiana, correct?
yes,
Okay. So what is your main domicile, if you will? Is it Louisiana or is it Florida?
as
The domicile for the corporation?
Louisiana, Waste Pro of, our entity is Waste Pro of Louisiana, Inc.
Okay. I
Yeah.
just want clarification, that's all.
Yes.
As far as the equipment, what type of pieces of equipment will be dedicated to Kenner?
We have 12 rear loaders, 1 clamshell, 1 supervisor pickup truck.
And what kind of condition are they in? Are
They're brand new.
That's what I wanted to hear. Good. Now, as far as contracts in the region, where do you have other contracts in this region?
Where do I?
Waste Pro, yeah.
In this division right here services St. John Parish, services a section of City of New Orleans, which is New Orleans East and the Lower Ninth Ward. And we service, from a municipality standpoint, we service Plaquemines Parish. They pick up their own curbside, but we haul all of their waste from their drop-off station with roll-off trucks. So those are the municipalities here. My Houma location services Morgan City and Assumption Parish. My Baton Rouge location services East Feliciana Parish, City of Denham Springs, City of Gonzales. My North Shore Covington location services City of Hammond, City of Folsom.
So you got a huge operation, it sounds like.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, as far as RFPs, you touched on them earlier. As far as RFPs, when your company contracts with municipalities or parishes, what have you, the RFPs versus non-RFPs, how often do you have either? Can you give me an estimate?
Majority of the time, there's an RFP process, but sometimes there's not. Like for instance, Assumption Parish did not do an RFP process because it's a professional service contract, and they specifically asked the haulers that they wanted to provide pricing. St. John Parish was negotiated directly with us. They didn't put an RFP process. So it happens. It's really, usually, it depends on the time frame and the situation.
Situational.
Absolutely. Yes,
yeah,
yes, sir.
Okay. And I just wanted to get a feel for it so we know how it's like everywhere else.
Yeah.
As far as the carts, you mentioned the carts, they're 95-gallon carts. In comparison to what we have today,
Same cart.
Same cart, same amount, 95-gallon, correct? So there's not going to be really much a change in the capacity.
Same cart, just a different manufacturer. We have currently there's a manufacturer by the name of Cascade, and I use Rearig. And Waste Pro also uses Cascade, just I happen to use Rearig in my region, but yeah.
Okay, just I have a few more questions on the cart. And I think Councilman Lahat might have covered this already, but at the end of when the contract ceases, who owns the cart?
City of Kenner.
Okay. Which, I like that answer. What colors are the carts going to be?
The carts are green with a blue lid.
Okay, and is it going to have the Kenner insignia on it?
No, sir. They have, in order for me to pull this off, in the amount of time I had to get our stock units. So they'll have Waste Pro on it, but they, at the end of the contract, they will be owned by Kenner.
Okay. I think they need to be purple and gold.
Can you add Kenner Discovery on them? Those are Kenner Discovery colors.
Okay, the contract, it appears that it's for a 10-year period. Do you ever do a shorter period?
Yeah, we do 5 years is usually typically the shortest that we go. Obviously, the 10-year helps with the pricing because I can depreciate the equipment longer.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why Kenner's getting a favorable price compared to the current rates in the market.
Okay, and staffing?
Obviously I couldn't wait, so we're started staffing, but again, with us operating a 4-day work week, I could turn the switch, and to give an example, we were notified, we negotiated with St. John Parish, and 3 days later, we were starting the contract. We're able to do that because of the additional employees that I carry from operating a 4-day work week. So we're ready to go.
And we like the fact that you're here in Kenner, too. So
Yeah, no.
thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Councilwoman McKinney.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you for the colleagues for those questions. I just have a couple of questions for Mr. Murphy. Thank you for being here tonight.
No, thank you.
And as well as, I want to start off with a question for not you, for Ms. Herring. I know we talked a lot about the RFP process. We were notified, the mayor pointed out, on November 27th of 2023, which is merely 2.5 months away from here. On average, what is the average RFP process time and of a contract? There's a poll in front of your face, right? On average, what is how long does that normally take? And for a large contract like this, right? I'm sure a smaller contract doesn't take that long.
Yeah, for something of this size, you're looking at a minimum of 4 to 5 months to get the whole thing turned around. So that's building scope. We've never put an RFP out for garbage, so we have to build scope. You have to let it sit out for at least 3 advertisements, just the amount of money that this contract is. Then it has to be reviewed and scored. It has to come to y'all. It has to lay over 3 meetings, the whole process. By the time we get a contract, an easy 4 to 5 months. So we definitely did not have the time with the March 1st date.
Okay, great, thank you. So, and we didn't certainly want 3 months of trash building up while we were doing an RFP process.
Correct.
Maybe some other people wouldn't mind, but I'm certainly not volunteering for that. Okay, so let's, so once that question's out of the way, I think that establishes the reason why we're doing the process the way we are, right? I think that is a.
Yeah, and just to add,
Yeah.
to help with
Yeah.
the answer that, St. Helena Parish put out an RFP that was, I responded with, the response was due back in November, and it starts November 24.
Okay.
That's the,
So a whole nother year
yeah,
away,
that's
right.
what St. Helena Parish has done. City of New Orleans process, I want to say, was about 8 months. And it's in zones. So like the zone that I pick up is 26,000 homes, and it was about an 8-month process.
Okay.
So yeah, 90 days is not anything realistic.
Right, and we're not, and as the mayor said, this is not something that we wanted, this is not a position that we wanted to be in. This is a position that we were imposed on. So, I think that's the main thing to, why we're in this situation. So I do want to just ask you a couple just additional questions. So I think this was asked before, but I'm gonna just wonder. So I know people said, can you purchase additional trash cans from you? But if we have our own trash cans that have nothing, like we bought at Home Depot, we can put those out to supplement our trash pickup, and you guys will pick that up, right?
Yes, I don't believe Yeah, we don't have anything that says in the contract saying we won't. So no, if it's
Right,
out
yeah.
there, we will.
Right, I mean, before all of the technology, we all had to buy our own trash cans.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was like before my time, but,
Yes.
but, I mean, some people don't.
Councilwoman McKinney's got 12 trash cans at her house. That's what I was asking. So,
And she puts the trash on the side.
I have like a bunch of kids. I just have a lot of trash all the time. Okay, so in reading the contract, moving on, in reading the contract, they mentioned there's 3 holidays, and the next holiday collection, or the next, basically you're gonna skip on that holiday, and then the next time you're supposed to be at that unit, you'll pick up trash. So you'll just
Whatever's out.
So that 1 week, or there's 3 days.
Yes,
you'll have one
there's
pickup.
only 3 days that we
Right.
acknowledge, which is,
Yeah.
that we, not that we acknowledge, but that we would, so it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. So if Christmas falls on a Monday, we don't pick up on Monday, we pick up everything that's put out on Thursday. We run additional trucks because we know it's going to be heavy. So nothing gets pushed that's from a Thursday to a Friday or nothing like that. All the trash will be picked up. We pick it all up by running additional equipment on that next service day.
Okay, great, thank you. And this kind of goes into my next question is the advertising requirements. I know they're in the contract, there are advertising requirements for Waste Pro to, alert everyone in the Advocate or in the news, in the newspaper. And I think that that's a really good, I just want to point that out for the residents that are watching. And thank you for that, because I think that's really important. Yeah. Not everyone does social media. Our community is an aging community, and there are a lot of people who, don't get on social media. So having that on a regular basis is important for that. And then in the contract, there's also talks about complaint tracking and follow-up. Just wanted to make sure, obviously, hopefully there are no complaints, right? Yeah. Everything's roses, but, there are, we're all human, we all make mistakes. So I just want to confirm that you're committed to making sure and, rectifying anything within 24 hours and,
Yes,
and tracking and, back and forth with the administration, right?
We have some really advanced technology. I know I didn't talk about, we had a lot to talk about, and I was trying to answer the question, so I didn't talk about everything, but all of our trucks are equipped with 5 cameras. So we have the camera system that tracks all our trucks. We're able to track a breadcrumb trail. We know exactly what time it was there. We can take a picture. We can do all that. We can pull up the video footage and see exactly when, where. But the process that we have in place is we have each one of our municipalities set up with its own account and what we call a software called TrackEase. So it's kind of similar to the municipalities that use a 311 system, but it's TrackEase, which is a system we use for municipalities that don't ask us to use their system. Every call, or if somebody emails, the email or calls, everything, when a CSR answers that call, goes into TrackEase. It's got the time that it went in, and that's automatically sent out to the supervisors and the managers and the dispatchers to get it scheduled, whatever it is. If somebody says they, were missed, immediately we're going to pull up camera footage, and then we're going to respond, here's the footage, truck was there at such and such time. As a courtesy, we're going to come back and get it, that kind of stuff. Or if someone says my cart is, need broken wheel, broken lid, call comes in, email comes in, goes into that system, and it's automatically flagged. It's got to be closed out in so many hours. And we set that based off of what's in the contract. So there's a lot of, processes that we do to make sure we provide the service that everybody here is expecting.
Great, perfect, thank you. And then I just have one additional question. I know you talked a lot about the, hiring people and your employees. How many people do you actually employ in the Louisiana region? Like, is it like 500 or is it?
In Louisiana, we have over 300 employees. I'd say closer to 350 if we're awarded this contract, because we're probably somewhere around 320. So we'll have about 350 employees in Louisiana. Our Kenner facility is, again, my regional facility. It's my largest division here in Louisiana. And this Kenner facility employs about 120 to 130 employees, this location.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Councilmember D. Dunn.
I did get a chance to read the contract, so I'm happy that you are located in my district.
Yes,
One of the things that I'm concerned about, because I met with the administration since I've been here, talking about, you know, the amount of debris, and I know that's important, especially in my district, so I'm glad to hear, you know, that you do have a boom in things of that nature. But one of the other issues when I read in the contract, you also talked about picking up tires.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate a little bit on the car tires?
No, meaning that if someone puts out tires, we'll well, I think, are we picking them up, or they, I can't remember if it's, I know we actually, we have a contract with the city of Kenner to provide a tire container, which we do provide, but I'm not sure if the city personnel pick it up or we pick it up. I don't remember exactly.
The city personnel picks it
Yeah,
up.
so
So code enforcement, if you have tires that they find along the roads or something like that, or any of our field services departments, if they find tires in the
Yeah.
road, those go into the one dumpster that you have, and you also
Yes.
track and report to
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we do pick up the tires for City of Kenner, but it's a separate contract that we've had for a few years now, that container, but the city public works workers actually pick them up from the street, bring them to that container, and that's separate. That's been separate for a few years now. I hope if that answers your question. No, no.
What, the tires that are where, on the street,
Yeah,
all around?
yeah. You know, like some people do put the tires out and you know, I'm just curious because, you know, you're talking about picking up the 10 cubic yards and like, you know, we have a lot of tree limbs.
Yeah.
You pick up a mattress or something today and tomorrow the next.
Yeah. No,
you
and
know.
we can, and that 10 cubic yards includes anything non-haz, nothing non-hazardous, or not tires, because that claw truck's picking up that waste and it's going to a landfill. So if they have tires, our truck will leave the tires there, and I think the Public Works Department, when they make their runs, will pick them up, right?
I think the terms of your contract state that non-commercial, if it's placed curbside, you're obligated to pick up.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it is, I assure you we will pick it up, because our supervisor out in the street, if that comes in, we'll confirm that.
Yeah, because I read it on page 4 of the contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's.
Okay, so no, if I can assure you that if that's in there for us to start picking up the tires, they will get picked up.
Okay, and then one other question. With the boom truck, you will be doing that once a week?
Yeah.
My understanding.
Yes, ma'am, on second collection day.
Do you know, like, what happens if the people put out sofas and mattresses and all of that?
That all gets
would be
picked up.
picked up
Yes,
on the
ma'am.
boom truck? Okay, so.
And some things, if it's that's where it comes. It's important. That's where it's big with utilizing the rear load trucks with helpers, because I could tell you way we perform our contracts. If it's one sofa, if it's a small pile, that truck's picking it up.
Okay.
So it's not going to wait. Like we use that clamshell, that boom truck. We use that for big piles. But that truck, when it comes around, when it picks up the cart, it's going to pick, like if somebody puts out one sofa or one recliner or one mattress or what, that's going to get picked up with the regular truck.
Okay, because a lot of that, I don't know about Joey District, but I know in mine, a lot of that was not being picked up, and that was a very much concern of mine. So when I kept reading the contract, I was,
And we're going to pick everything up.
okay.
We're not going to make, like, residents will not have to call us, send in pictures. What happens is our trucks that go down the street will pick up any small items. If it's a pile that it's too big for them to pick up, they notify the dispatcher, and the dispatcher routes the clamshell to it. So the regular truck, now, and besides that, if someone calls in, then that also goes on the route for the clamshell. But our route trucks are actually informing the dispatcher when we need to send a clamshell to pick up something that they can't pick up, it's too much for them.
Okay, my last question, who will be responsible for picking up the, like the refrigerators or whatever? Because in the contract, it said that the Freon has to be out.
Yes,
and I
we
understand that.
pick it up, it's just gotta be tagged that the Freon has been removed.
Okay, so who tags it, the resident?
The resident would get a plumber to come and extract the Freon, and they tag it that it's been removed.
Okay.
And Ms. D,
Yeah, appliance, yeah.
Ms. D, for your area especially, I know there's a lot of dumping and things that are put in areas that are not homes. So we added to this contract a promiscuous dumping area so that and I know Mr. Teff is especially concerned with the litter and when they dump on the medians and things like that, so that when we see those things, we can contact Waste Pro and they will go pick it up and collect it, and we'll cover the cost of it, but that will keep our public works people from having to go out, like one time on Loyola, 26 truckloads of debris that was left in the middle of the roadway. So we have added that as another condition and another service that we didn't have before.
Okay, because in the thing that one of the things that we were dealing with code was that, you know, they cut the grass, but then there was debris that was left on the street. So who would pick that up?
You would contact us and we would contact Waste Pro, and we would have that picked up as another service to us that we would have done, because that was a big problem with having enough Waste Pro people, enough Public Works people to go out there and pick up large amounts of debris and pick up trucks.
Okay.
Councilwoman D, you finished? Ronnie? Councilwoman Ronnie Schwartz.
Thank you, sir. First, I want to start off, Mr. Mayor. Hello. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't really have to do. I want to thank you, Natalie, Amy, Michelle, all for putting that presentation together. That answered a lot of questions that I had been fielding for a long time, okay? I mean, it was excellent, and I want to thank you for that, okay? Mr. Jesse, you too, come out. Your explanation, again, has answered a lot of questions that I had been fielding for a month now.
Yes, sir.
The only one problem I have is the tree branches picked up. You have answered that. I've got branches that's been sitting out on the curb now for 3 months. That's supposed to be picked up. That hasn't been picked up. So we'll leave that on another day. So you're going to be catching some slack. It's catching up.
It's all right. March 1st, it'll be picked up.
And the only other thing is your start time. 5 o'clock?
Yeah, that's with the contract. Yes, sir.
5 o'clock in the morning. Has that been conveyed to your drivers? Because now, it's currently in the contract, 5 o'clock, and they start at 4:15.
Yeah, no, so we have a very organized crew outs. We have like our commercial trucks that start earlier, but each one of our lines of business get crewed out in the morning. So our residential line of business gets crewed out in the amount of time. It takes about 30 minutes to crew our team out. We do a safety meeting every morning. Then we go out there and everybody inspects their trucks together, and then they pull out the yard together. So if our start time's 5 o'clock, and obviously we're in Kenner, our start time for employees to report is going to be 4:30, they'll do their morning crew out, their safety briefing, and they'll be pulling out the yard at 5 o'clock.
So, correct. And I'm sure, Mr. Jimmy, if you're out there listening, you'll know that it won't be disturbed at 4:15 in the morning. Mr. Jesse, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Councilman Brian Brennan.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Council Chair. Mr. Murphy and ma'am, thank you all for being here. As some people have conveyed, you've answered the questions that I had. I just would like to make comment that I'm very impressed with what I've heard, the things you've said, and I think if this goes forward, I think the city and the residents are going to be very pleased with what's to come. So thank you for being here, and I thank the administration for the diligence that's gone into this.
Yeah. No, thank you. And, something that, I think everybody, I live here, I eat here, I shop here. So I have many of family and friends, and, this contract is going to get I don't want to be eating with my family and hear, well, you didn't pick up my pile. Trust me, I am in this city every day. This office is one of 9 offices that I operate out of that I go to my site, but I'm here probably 3 days a week because that's my regional office. So the city of Kenner is going to get a lot of attention from Waste Pro.
Well, and I think it's important you gave out your home address and everybody's got that. So that's going to be people just drop stuff off.
What's your cell phone number? Wait, hold on.
Now, actually, at some point, you'll probably see I post my cell phone number on social media. I mean, if look, if you're doing what I've did it at other municipalities when I've seen. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, you don't get a phone call. So.
And I'm glad you clarified what a boom truck is. I thought it was going to have speakers or something to make a lot of noise early. That's enough. Okay. Thank you.
That is such a Brian Brennan thing, that speakers on a boom truck. Okay, Councilman Brannigan.
Yes, you've hit on so many things. Ms. Alessandro had a question about meeting with city officials, and I'm assuming that the first meeting that you had was in the timeline that Mayor Glazer had, said in the opening comments. I know I didn't get a call, and I don't think any other council person got a call.
Thank you for reminding me of that question. I think I touched on it a little bit, but I'll clarify that. You are correct. I knew there was a 10-year contract. I never approached the city until I saw it come out on a news media or something saying that Ivy Waste put the city on it. That's when we contacted the mayor's office asking for a meeting. So there was no contact prior to that, and I think at one point even Sydney with IV said, "Hey, I just want to let you know I did a public records request to see whatever contact." I was like, "Okay, there's not going to be anything there because there wasn't." Right. So there was no contact prior to getting the notice that and at that point I took the opportunity because I wanted to have hopefully have an opportunity that I didn't get last time.
Okay, and we have gotten a lot of questions from the public because the service from Ivy Waste, they did a good job. But when you look at the chart that has the contracts that you have 7 out of the 12, and local in this general area, which I consider a big deal. The other thing that has come up a lot is the fee, $18 obviously, and I did some calculations, and based on a 10-year contract, now this does not include CPI, we're going to pay a little bit more in the first 2 years, but if we bid the thing out in 2 years and we got back a $22 figure, we're paying $6 million more over that 10-year period versus the 18. And if it came back at 24, like a lot of these are, it's a $10 million swing in the residents' favor. So I appreciate that number.
Yeah. No, thank you. You're correct. This is each year, and that's part of where the 10-year comes in as well. Because if you do a 5-year, what is the cost in 5 years? Our cost is increasing, 20, 30% every year. The price of the trucks, the price of the resin that builds the carts. So 5 years from now, an RFP is only going to make those numbers even going to be much higher. So that's part of a benefit of a 10-year agreement.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a couple of follow-up questions. It's really not a lot, but nonetheless, it's important. I know we talked a lot about RFPs, and we've heard that term and just mentioned. Could you explain what an RFP is?
Yeah, go ahead.
When a municipality puts out an RFP, which is a request for proposal, and they give us a scope of work and says, this is what we want you to, these are the services we're looking for, and this is what we want you to bid on. They kind of tell us what to build in that proposal, and then it goes out, it has to be advertised for so many weeks, and then you've got to have a pre-bid meeting typically, and then you have a turn-in date, and then it gets evaluated to a committee and all that. And like what Jesse was mentioning about St. Helena Parish, in today's world, it's used to you could get a garbage truck in about 3 or 4 months, and that was probably pretty good. Now you're looking at normally, if we didn't have standing orders, probably a year, sometimes 18 months on some if we don't have standing orders on them. So they're being moved out. So the whole process usually takes about 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Used to be the perfect world, but now it's looking at more than 12 months to do that. What else did you want to know about RFP?
So when you have these that go out, the RFPs, and they have different companies, maybe multiple companies, come back with a I don't want to call it a bid, but they come back.
It's a proposal.
Proposal. Thank you. They come back with a proposal, and when they come back with this proposal, a selection is made, I guess, at that point, and
usually it's reviewed by a committee. Yes.
Yeah. Then after the selection is made, it's not edged in stone, correct? It could, in other words, the terms of what may take place are still open for the process, like for the price and so forth. All that can be negotiated still.
Right, and there may be another step behind that, a presentation where the municipality may ask the top two that scored on the proposal to give presentations to the board or the council or the parish, and then it would be further evaluated, and then you may enter negotiations with one or two and go forward at that point as well. But yeah, that's when you would start looking at, because sometimes I've seen some RFPs that were over 100 pages long. So I've had pricing sheets that were 100 pages of providing prices. So it's not always just one price. So you've got to evaluate all different kind of things. So then when you actually get to that final stage, then you look at, okay, what do you absolutely need? What are you actually looking for? Because sometimes you put it out just, with, like I said, a laundry list, but that's really not what you were looking for. And you probably could have got a better deal if you just said exactly what you needed.
So I guess what I'm getting to is the price, the negotiated figure is not edged in stone when the RFP is put out. It's done later when the agreement is actually made between the parties. It can be changed, is my point.
No, price, if I can't, price is a factor in an RFP, and whatever they put as their price is locked in. But you can say, well, I don't need this piece of that service. I don't need this. So you build your full contract price, and you can negotiate what service you're going to do. But price is locked in. It's a factor during the rating process.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. That's important, and that's what I wanted to find out. Has Waste Pro ever just taken over a contract? Say like there's an existing contract by a contractor. Does Waste Pro come in and take over a contract?
We have.
Yes, we actually just recently did that with St. John Parish.
Okay, and how many years did it have left on its contract?
I want to say about 3.5 when we took it over. I think so.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilwoman McKinney.
Thank you, Council President. I just have one question. Ms. Nugent actually mentioned something about a consent decree, and I'm not familiar with what that is, so I wanted to ask the legal department to clarify or answer that question.
I'm not sure what Kenner is not under a consent decree like New Orleans is, so I'm not sure exactly what she was referring to.
Okay.
If I can add, I think she probably confused consent judgment. In court, when two sides agree on something to get it locked in stone, you enter into a consent judgment. Consent, exactly what it means. You agree on exactly what, you send it in front of the judge, judge signs it, and it's, y'all have agreed on it.
Okay, and
So-
do we have a consent judgment with this case?
At least one.
Okay.
Yes, we have one, and it had to do with the fact of calculation according to the contract. For 5 months, there was so I'm trying not to get into the legal things and try to say this in a way. So what happened is when this contract was written in 2020, it read as if Ramelli and Ivy would have the same rates. And the way the contract wasn't very transparent in how that was laid out and how it read. At one point, in January 2023, we read that to read differently, and we adjusted our payments to Ivy Waste for 5 months. Through a lot of back and forth with Ivy and with outside counsel, we got to where we could figure out what the contract said and what it meant. And what it meant was that, as you all know, Ramelli did not take CPI for 4 years from 2016 to 2020. And that was a benefit to the city because the rates never went up for those 4 years for garbage. However, when the contract was written for IV, it allowed IV to go back as if they were Ramelli to 2016 and add all those increases into the fee. And so that fee went up. And the contract was very poorly written to someone who wasn't involved in it to figure that out in that way. And so it took us a little while to get to that point to where we could figure the contract out and where that was. And once we did, we admitted, you're right, Ivy, we're gonna fix this and we're gonna correct our billing. And in that time, we also figured out that Ivy Waste had miscalculated CPI increases for 2 years for 24 months. So we had Ivy Waste with a miscalculation of CPI increases, and then we had a miscalculation for 5 months. So we took those figures, sent a very detailed letter to Ivy Waste saying that we've now reached the correct number. Ivy Waste reached the number, we reached the number. We did some calculations, we went back and saw how much we owed them by underpaying them and how much they owed us by overpaying them. And then there was also the issue of unit numbers. And at the end of that figure and end of that calculation, and it's a very long letter, it was determined through our calculations that Ivy Waste actually owed us money, $7,613. And we made a demand for that payment and went on. But at that point in time, we fixed our calculation of what we were paying them in that moment and began paying them the corrected fee, and the fee that we agreed on. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if
Okay,
someone
so has that been honored, the $7,000?
No, we didn't
Okay.
get paid, no.
Okay,
no.
so
But we did honor.
So we've honored our
we
part.
honored the corrected
Okay.
service unit count, yes. I'm sorry, the service unit payment. And, part of that is also how many service units are in Kenner versus just saying we've got 25,000 cans out. It's not a can count that we pay for. It's a service unit count, which means your house, your business.
Right.
Ivy Waste wants it to be how many cans they drop on the street. So if a business has 3 cans, because they can have up to 5, Ivy Waste wants us to pay for 3 cans. Well, we can only bill the business for 1. So I know Mr. Al would not be happy for us to pay for extra cans that we're not recovering payment for. That's not fiscally responsible, and we can't do that. So when we went to Ivy and said, no, this is the number of units that we have according to Jefferson Parish, and us riding around the city and checking it out, we're still arguing over what is a service unit count, and so that's still part of our litigation. So.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with,
No,
that's outside of that,
No,
okay.
but we did. We made the correction, admitted that we'd made a mistake in that, we read the contract differently,
and fixed our part of it. So,
Okay.
yes.
Well, so with regard to this contract, that is written in, the number of units is written into the contract and has been negotiated and has been agreed upon within the contract
It was-
with Waste Pro.
Yes, it was written in the last contract, too.
Okay, perfect. Okay, and I just want to reiterate, thank you for your time. Thank you for the interest in the city of Kenner. I'm not sure if I was a trash collector, I would want to provide trash services to the city of Kenner at this point. So thank you for, having the interest in and coming, and also providing, a lower rate long-term, because I do think that what Councilman Brannigan said is that in the short term, it is an increase, but over 10 years, our rates, in 10 years, when we have to change, when whoever is in this position, won't be me, because I don't want to be here 10 years from now, is discussing trash again, that rate, we have a better rate, starting point than, all of these other municipalities. I mean, there's even, places in Lafayette that pay $31. That's absurd. So, so we're at a better starting point. We are heading in the right direction, which is lower cost overall. So I think that this is in 2 years, if Ramelli said magically, we can do it, their contract would be over, and we'd be looking at figuring out what we're going to do after Ramelli. So this puts us in a much better position for the next 10 years. So thank you for that.
No, thank you.
Councilman Brennan?
Thank you, Council Chair. Just one clarification, if I may. I know Councilwoman Dunn talked about this side, this district. In District 5, along the Loyolas, where the medians are, we have a lot of people that instead of sofas, trees, whatever it would be, and putting that at the curb, that ends up on the median.
Yeah.
I just want,
In front of my mother's house on East Loyola. We go pick it. No, she doesn't. I'm just saying, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know
It's
the
where
address. We get calls all the time.
It's where I grew up at in your district. No, we will pick up off the median. East Loyola, West Loyola, yeah.
Great. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Councilman Brannigan?
Jeff, this is not a question for you, Ms. City Attorney. You hit on the count, okay? So where are we starting the count? And how do we keep the count accurate? Because I know that you would call me a while back, several months ago, in regards to the St. Julian Condo Association, and Ivy Waste had delivered 30 cans there and charged us for 30 cans, and they have dumpsters and they pick the cans up. So I know that you've been working a long time getting the count right and making sure that a can belongs at the address. How are we gonna address keeping that count? Because there are gonna be people that move in and you get a new person living in that house, and then you're gonna have houses that, could go away, and we don't wanna be paying for that service if it's an empty lot or a house that's empty or destroyed.
You're correct. So that is going to be a constant battle. I don't know what the word to say is. It's going to just going to be a constant battle. When someone moves into an apartment and then moves out, we're not going to take one off, put one on, because technically somebody's probably going to move in that apartment, in 2 weeks, and it's going to come right back. That would be too much back and forth. And that's not the problem's never been the 1 or 2, 3 or 4. It's the 150 added on every month. 600 added on 1 month with no notice of where the addresses are. So we're going to try to keep up with it with Waste Pro, with our Public Works office. So we have it written into the contract of a number we're going to start with,
And then we're going to adjust it, especially in the beginning, because we're working off the Jefferson Parish water bill list. And we're going to work off that. And as we add people that maybe for some reason aren't on that list, and we can add them back in. And then hopefully within a few months, within 6 months, we'll have a pretty accurate list of where we are.
Okay.
But what you're asking about is where we got off track with IV. So what happened in your instance where you're talking about Julian, it's a condominium complex. We were trying to get somewhat of an accurate count of where we were and what number we should be working off with IV. And because their count would go up every month starting in 2020, and with no word on what exactly, who they were dropping off cans to. So in the St. Julian instance with you, when I called you to try to find out if there was an HOA there, in our internal auditing where we went and drove around and looked for some addresses and to see what was going on, we found out that they had a 30-unit complex, but they were showing up on IV's list as being provided at one point 38 service units, 38 cans, which not 38 cans, but 38 service units. So we're like, wait, it's only 30-unit complex, how do they have 38? I couldn't find a can on the premises, so I contacted you at the time because I wanted to see if you knew anyone that lived in there. I finally reached the HOA president, and they advised me that right after Ivy took the contract, they dropped cans off to them. They called them back and said, hey, we don't need cans, we have dumpsters, we don't have room for them, please come pick them up. Ivy Waste immediately picked up the cans. However, 3 years later, they're still on our billing list at 20 cans. So those are the instances we want to get rid of and get control over. And businesses that should have dumpsters and are getting can service. You know, they're sticking car parts in a garbage can. So we're trying to get a track on that. I think we're going to be able to do that. And in full disclosure, we offered IV Waste a few times, 2 or 3 times lately in the end, to come meet with us and let's come up with a reasonable methodology of how to get to this number. And we just never got there. If that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
Is that it, George?
That's it.
Okay, I think we done all the questions for you guys. I'll give you all a break. Why don't you go sit down, and we might have some questions to the administration, maybe some further discussion. But thank you for standing up there and addressing everyone.
No, thank you.
Okay, we're still on item 8A. And Tom, you said you had a question for the administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, I think a lot of this has been answered, so I'm going to go right to the direct point. What was said a minute ago, and I want to make sure that I get all my questions answered accurately and fully, so I can do the right thing here. What was said earlier, Mr. Murphy indicated that he has had a contract. In fact, it's with St. Charles, and I believe he's got 3.5 years left on that contract. Well, the other collector had 3.5 years left on, and they took it over. Waste Pro took that contract over. Now, we have a situation here, and I'm wondering, we have Ramelli. Now, Ramelli has time left on its contract. If I stand correct, it's like 2 years or so. Has that been explored in this situation?
Not for him to take over the contract. It was for Ramelli to finish their contract and start picking up garbage again. But the only benefit to the city of Kenner is the long-term savings. That is it. If he wouldn't have came up with an $18 figure, Ramelli, we wouldn't be here today. Ramelli would be picking up trash March 1st. But I think a long-term savings is well worth the discussion and bring this company in with a 10-year contract.
Okay, so that's the direction that you went in and you felt comfortable with it in this situation that's been dealt to you?
Yes. At least you know what the numbers will be for 10 years. We know, talking today, George did the numbers of the 2022. We don't know what it's going to be in 2 years when we RFP this thing, or the end of this time next year when we start it.
And you feel like it's going to be possibly, more than likely, a higher price
Yes.
than what it is.
I'm more than confident the prices aren't going down.
Okay. On this particular legislation, Mayor, I'm just going to ask you this, just for the record. On it, I believe it's the proposal, the actual ordinance itself, it's proposed by yourself, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. So obviously,
Thanks.
you're so in support of it, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
You gotta, look, you can see from the time he made the $18, and then pretty much it was an informal.
This is the Louisiana Hometown Network, traveling the state to bring you the important issues and events.
Ellis Marsalis was an icon, an American treasure, a patriot, a person who believed in this community and the people who lived here during some of its most perilous times, and a commitment to return the vitality and vibrancy of this community. And he, his family, Harry Connick Jr., so many of you in this audience made this dream a reality. I'm delighted that my friend Branford Marsalis has agreed to the appointment of the artistic director of the Ellis Marsalis Center. This is
what my job will be as artistic director is to work in consultation with the teachers who are involved with the students on a regular basis and figure out new things or the continuation of things that have already been happening, to see what we can do to make the curriculum more challenging for the students and to better prepare them for whatever profession they choose in their lives. Unlike a lot of places, music is a really big deal in New Orleans. We have a lot of young students who play in marching bands and in concert bands all over the state. And it really does help. So much of the higher levels of mathematics and higher levels of physics deal with certain kind of spatial realities that every young musician, regardless of talent level, has to deal with things that aren't real. For instance, playing with good time. There's no physical manifestation of that. Playing in tune. There's no physical manifestation. These are all ethereal ideas that you are essentially culturalized or acculturalized to hearing in tune, playing with pitch, playing with time. And for a lot of young people who become mathematicians or physicists, they have often said that playing music really, in the early years, really did help them to understand the skill set to understand the higher levels of mathematics and physics. It is simply to create an avenue where the students are challenged, but not so much so that they feel discouraged, and to use music as a vehicle to
That's right.
You know, that's how these things are supposed to work.
I agree. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Brannigan?
On the numbers that were just mentioned, I want the public to know that 2 years at the $13.24 and 8 years at $24, if we bid it after 2 years, it's $57,678,000. $18 for 10 years is $47,520. That's a $10 million difference. If it came in at $22 a unit in 2 years, it is $53,454, $47,520. It's a $6 million difference. The long term is the deal.
And the last thing that I said I was going to stay on topic, but in 2 years, this recycling and drop-off site expires and comes up. So there's a lot of opinions on whether recycling should continue, where recycling should stop. George, I'm going to use him as an example. He may not recycle, but he's at that dump once a week. He pays the same price. If we drop recycling off, he's still paying a price for that other supplemental service. So it's or you're paying the same price for two services.
Well, that's something that we'll have to deal with in 2 years when the cycle runs on that.
Okay.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Before we motion to vote for 8A, one last thing I want to add. We're here tonight voting on this. I'm voting yes, because if we don't vote on this tonight, due to the work that they've done so quickly with Waste Pros, we're not going to have garbage pickup March 1st. We're not here tonight to pick between garbage providers. We're losing our garbage provider March 1st, and we have no choice but to hire another one, or we're not going to get garbage pickup in the city of Kenner, which I'm not going to allow to happen. And I'm not sitting here tonight picking sides of Ivy Waste, the city of Kenner. I think there's been a lot going on with that situation. I look at that, I'm an attorney, I look at it as a billing dispute with the city of Kenner and Ivy Waste. I was happy with their services, but it's a billing dispute, and I hope it can be worked out for the benefit of the citizens of Kenner in an economical way and have that lawsuit done at some point. But I'm going to be voting yes tonight on this. I'm going to motion for it in a second. I was very much appreciative of the Waste Pro people to be here. Mr. Murphy, very impressed with everything you said. Thank you for answering our questions tonight. Okay. All right, Council, on motion, Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Berman to approve 8A. Councilmembers?
I'd like to make another statement, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify a couple things before, and this is just make a statement. When I came in here tonight, I didn't know how I was going to vote. I had absolutely no clue. And I came in here prepared, if necessary, to vote against this thing. I don't like the procedure, the process that has taken place, but unfortunately, this has been thrusted upon not only the administration, but the council too. And it puts us in a very awkward position. I don't like it. I know the administration doesn't like it. And we've all worked hard on this to try and understand it and come to terms with it and grasp it. Mayor Glazer's statements that he made earlier in the very beginning, I think he was very sincere, and I believe him. Everything I've seen about this, it resonates that he's being honest and truthful. It is a long-term savings. That's what he's going on, and I believe him. And I believe also that he's being a good steward of the people's funds. Again, I think that's critical. And that's why I was thinking about voting against it, but I heard it even crossed my mind that I would consider voting against it. But in this case, it's a local company, they got new equipment, and what the sticking point is whether or not they can continue pick up this contract with Ramelli. And it's been explained to me this is the best deal possible to go forward with a totally new contract for another 10 years. It is an increase. I don't like that. I have a big problem with that, and that's why I guess I'm making this statement. I am going to support it, though, because I think it's something that's been thrusted upon us, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, motion by Councilman Rellahat, seconded by Councilman Brennan to approve. Council members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 8B is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 13,449, an ordinance amending ordinance number 11,964, adopted February 18, 2022, to clarify which sales are subject to the sales tax of 2% in the North 1300 block of Veterans Boulevard Economic Development District in the state of Louisiana.
A motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to open the public hearing. Council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
Anybody wishing to address the council on 8B? Okay. Seeing none, let's close the public hearing. Motion by Councilmember Dunn, second by Councilmember McKinney to close the public hearing. Council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0.
A motion by Councilmember Dunn, second by Councilmember McKinney to approve. Any discussion? No. Council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 9 is ordinances for the sale, purchase, transfer, lease, and/or alienation of immovable property. We have none. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution providing for canvassing the returns and declaring the result of the special election held in the city of Kenner, state of Louisiana, the city, on Saturday, November 18, 2023, for authority to levy and collect an ad valorem tax for the purpose of paying salaries and benefits of fire department personnel for constructing, improving, equipping, maintaining, and/or operating fire department buildings and facilities, and for acquiring, maintaining, and operating fire department vehicles and equipment, and other matters in connection therewith.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brennan. This is, Elizabeth went somewhere. This is the procedural device, but we're going to enact the millage by which, okay, that's what I thought it was.
Yes, you need any further explanation? Eric?
Yeah, this is just the device by which we're going to employ the millage, which was approved by the voters of Kenner.
Yes, you're just certifying the results of the election, basically.
Okay, that's what I thought. Anybody else have any questions on this? Okay, seeing none, motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to approve. Councilmembers in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution appointing Doug Dote and Bob Bales to the Jefferson Parish Hazard Mitigation Advisory Committee to represent the city of Kenner.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, again seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? Okay. Seeing none, councilmembers in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 13,450, an ordinance approving amendment number 5 to the agreement with Linfield, Hunter and Junius Incorporated for professional services relating to the Rivertown/South Kenner drainage improvements, increasing the agreement amount by $35,000 for a total not to exceed amount of $596,950 for the Department of Federal Program Compliance.
A motion by Councilmember D. Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Brennan. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Mr. Al Morella.
Al Morello, 4260 East Royal Drive, 5th District, 52 years. Need an explanation on this $35,000 increase.
Al, this is for a drainage project that requires a railroad crossing. And in order to be able to obtain a railroad permit, the railroad has requested additional geotechnical services to be provided to make sure that the tracks are stable when we cross the railroad tracks. So therefore, we have to retain the services of a geotechnical company to be able to perform additional soil borings and additional geotechnical analysis.
Okay, thank you, Jose. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 13,451. An ordinance approving a cooperative endeavor agreement with Education Specialist LLC doing business as Camp Town USA for use of Galatas Gymnasium in exchange for summer recreational programming for the Parks and Recreation Department.
Motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. Stacy Alejandro, come on. You're the next contestant. I know this is something you're bringing to my district in Galatas, a summer camp this summer, which is a great thing. A lot of people are talking about. So the floor is yours to explain what you're going to do for the kids of Kenner.
Okay, well, thank you. So first off, let me say I'm a little nervous here, which usually never happens, but I've been coming to these meetings for 2 decades, and this is the first time I personally have something on the agenda. So I want to start off by just giving you a very brief history of what I do. I've dedicated my entire professional life to children, early childhood education in particular. And so I own several daycares, watched some mayors' children. I've watched police chiefs' grandchildren over the years. But anyway, I sold my last center in 2019, and I've been missing the kids ever since. So I kind of was thinking, how can I get back into it and get back in with the kids? So I approached Charles Elaine about doing a summer camp last year, and we talked a lot about it, and he thought it was a good idea. And so this year, we brought it to the mayor's office, and he agreed that yes, we can explore this. And then I cannot say enough good things about this administration, how easy this process has been. Natalie Newton's been amazing. The legal department, they've made it so easy, Eric and Melissa. But anyway, so it brings us here today. And so now I'm proposing to put on an amazing summer camp for these kids. One of the things I'm very excited about announcing is that Yonsei Martial Arts, Master Centilles, who is a co-owner of that facility, has agreed to come give the children Taekwondo lessons twice a week. And then at the end of our camp, the children will graduate with an actual yellow belt in Taekwondo. They'll break a board, they'll have a big ceremony, get a certificate. So, we're partnering with the community in certain activities, and we just have a lot of fun things planned for these kids, a lot. So I'm here if y'all have any questions.
And when does the dates run to? When does it start?
It's May 27th through the first week of August. So we're trying to coordinate to where it's seamless, like the kids get off of school, they can, the school lets out for the summer, they can come straight to our camp, straight through the summer, and then go back to school.
And Deputy Newton, we have ironed out the pickleball issues because pickleball's gotten really popular in Galatas on Friday nights.
Yes, we have ironed out the pickleball issues.
Just wanted to make sure. A couple people call me about that. So.
And we're actually going to be having pickleball with the kids. We're going to be teaching them all kinds of things, volleyball, kickball. Pickleball is one of the things we're going to be teaching the kids, since that court is really great for pickleball there.
I love my gym in my district getting used, so I'm fully going to support this. No problems for me. Anybody else have any questions? Councilman Wilmot?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. First off, I know, I'm not really fond of the CEAs necessarily. Sometimes I have more questions, I guess, for them, but in this case, I was so delighted to see that you were involved with this, and one, and two, the way it's set up and the way the things that are involved, I have no problem supporting, and I'm very glad and delighted that you are doing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Brannigan.
Thank you, Stacy, for doing this. The only thing I would ask is that when you're signing people up, if you could promote the recreation leagues that'll be starting, baseball, softball, t-ball, to the children that sign up for your stuff, that would be great and help us out too.
Absolutely, 100%.
Anybody else? No? Councilwoman McKinney.
Yes, I just want to clarify, is there, obviously you're kind of resident, Kenner Company, is there a preference, or not a preference, but like a selection for Kenner residents to participate in your service?
Yeah, they're going to get priority registration.
Okay.
Kenner residents with proof of residency are going to get a free T-shirt. And then we're also working on something, so this is not guaranteed, this is in the works, but I'm working on something with the summer food program with the state to try to see if we can get some funds through them And then that way, we're providing the meals and snacks for the kids, but if I can get that funding, we're gonna provide some organic food for the children if we get that funding, but also in conjunction with that, we're requesting to be certified through the Department of Education, through the DOE. And if we can get licensed by them as a summer-only child care facility, then we're gonna be able to offer to Kenner residents, the working families who meet the income qualifications for a program called CCAP, to where the tuition will get reduced possibly. Now this is only if we get approval, and we won't know for a while, but that the state will pay part of their tuition and the residents will only pay $35 a week. So, you know, we have a lot of things in the works. I'm trying really hard to get those two things approved. I can't promise it, but if there's any way we can get it approved, we're gonna do that. So that's gonna be a huge benefit, you know, to the residents of Kenner. I anticipate most of our children will come, you know, from Kenner. So yeah.
Great, thank you. My only question, additional question is, where do I sign up?
So we're
My own kids, not me.
So I was waiting until, of course, you guys have to approve it. I have kind of been advertising just a little bit to let people know that hopefully we're coming. So I was waiting tonight, of course, to get approval from you guys. I was hoping actually to start registration tomorrow, and I was going to announce that tonight, but my son has the flu. So I'm going to have to postpone that. So I'm going to be having a huge social media campaign, letting everybody know. We'll have signs and banners and stuff, but I'm anticipating opening up registration next Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Schwartz.
I'm Stacy. How are you?
Good, how are you?
How many? What's your maximum number of students that you can have? Do you?
We don't have right now. The gym is so large. I mean, we could potentially have 200 kids. If we get licensed by the state, by the Department of Education, they will come out and measure, and then they will tell us, which probably will still range up to 200 kids.
And your ratio between students and supervisors?
So right now, the state ratio is approximately 25 to 1, 25 children to 1. I think that is way too high. So we're going to have 2 to 30. So two supervisors to 30 children. Now these aren't little babies. You know, these are school-aged children.
Correct.
You know, which they go in the classroom right now with their teachers, and it's, you know, 20, 30 to 1. So we're going to have 30 to 2.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? All right, Stacy, thank you so much. I have a motion by me, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. Council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 13,452. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive base bid received from BLD Services LLC for the 43rd in California partial sewer force main replacement in accordance with seal bid number 23-6801 in the amount of $1,007,900 for the Department of Wastewater.
Motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Ms. Mason, do you want to come up? Tell us what's going on.
Yes, this is going to be a partial replacement of the force main. It's going to be from Vintage Drive to 38th Street, aerial crossing on the east side of the Duncan Canal. This station receives the discharge from 4 upstream stations. And the pipe is old asbestos cement pipe, and we've had some problems along the canal, so that's why we're replacing that part. And we had 17 bidders, and we had 1 responsive bidder.
Is this going to impact any streets or anything, or is this something just on the canal area?
Just on the canal area.
Okay. Questions? Councilman Wilmot?
If you can explain the funding.
It's on LDEQ loan number 5, which is a low-interest loan that we received from the DEQ.
Okay, but the whole amount is, it's not shared, it's all ours, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 13,453, an ordinance ratifying the emergency replacement of pump number 2 rotating assembly at Arizona and 37th Street Lift Station by Fluid Process and Pumps LLC in the amount of $6,047 for the Department of Wastewater.
A motion by Councilmember Ronnie Schwartz, seconded by Councilmember Brian Brennan. Anyone wishing to speak? I think we're fine on this one. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 13,454, an ordinance ratifying the emergency replacement of pump number 1 rotating assembly at Brittany Place Lift Station by Fluid Process and Pumps LLC in the amount of $6,047 for the Department of Wastewater.
Make a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. Anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none. Councilors in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is summary ordinance number 13,455, an ordinance approving amendment number 2 to the agreement with BLD Services LLC dated October 20th, 2022 for preventive maintenance of existing sanitary and storm sewers to increase the not-to-exceed amount by $300,000 annually for a new not-to-exceed amount of $1,050,000 for the Department of Wastewater.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember George Brannigan. Ms. Masonry, if you can explain this obvious increase just for the public and us, please.
Yes, BLD is our preventative maintenance contractor for sewer and sanitary sewer, and storm drains. They do the repairs that we cannot make that are deeper than 8 feet, that are in areas that have electrical poles. So recently there was a contractor damaged our 24-inch force main, that's Price Brothers pipe, that we have no ability to fix. The repair was $185,000, so this is to be able to pay the contractor and to still get us through June 30th. Because we do have some other gravity lines that need replacement near lift stations, which are very deep, that we can't do.
Any questions? Okay, I'm fine with that. Council members in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Thank you, Ms. Masonry.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15G is summary ordinance number 13,456, an ordinance approving amendment number 2 to the agreement with Bow Brothers Construction Company, LLC, to provide asphalt street maintenance on an as-needed basis and increasing the agreement amount by $1 million annually for a new not-to-exceed amount of $3 million annually for the Department of Field Services.
Motion by Councilmember Schwartz, seconded by Councilmember D. Dunn. Jose, if you could, I know what Al's getting ready to ask on the increase, if you can explain the Bow Brothers increase, please. See if we can. Yeah, do you want to say something? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to short you. I know what you're going to ask. Is that okay?
No, you hit the nail right on the head. Al was listening.
Okay.
This is a relatively new contract with Bow. It's for mostly asphalt-related work, resurfacing, patching, and so on. The agreement that the city entered into a contract with Bow dates to June of 23, so it's relatively a new contract. Amendment number 1 increased the cap back in November from $1 million to $2 million. Now we're asking for another $1 million, which is going to bump it up to $3 million. So I guess the obvious question is, where's all that money going to come from, right? Yeah. Well, the answer to that question is that, and I know the councilman was going to ask that question, is that we have been very fortunate, over the last 8 months to have received a good amount of money from the parish, compliments of Byron Lee, okay, roughly $340,000 that was dedicated to resurface 31st Street, okay? That's one component, okay? We have also received some federal money, for community development to also resurface another section of 31st Street. And thankful to, community development, Tamicia Shaw's assisting in obtaining this federal money. The money that was allocated for 31st Street was roughly $162,000. So now we got a pot of 340, we got another 162. Some of the council members have also dedicated some amount of money from their discretionary funds to do resurfacing work, Duncan Street and some of the areas, Connecticut and so on. We have also done work on 30th Street. As a matter of fact, 30th Street from the Duncan Canal all the way to Loyola Drive has been completely resurfaced. And some of the money that was used was state capital outlay money. So now we got three pots. We got funds from the parish, federal funds through community development, state capital outlay money, okay, and council district money as well. So yes, we up to, right now spent on this contract is roughly $1.2 million. So I guess the question is, why do we want to go up from 2 to 3? Soon we are going to have to resurface Williams Boulevard between Jenny and the lake. That roadway is in terrible condition, okay? That roadway services Lake Town, that roadway services the Punching Train Center, and that roadway will be serving the Treasure Chest. Roughly, the cost of that project is $1 million. Unluckily for us, we haven't been able to get any federal money or state money. Luckily for us, the funding source for that work is going to come from Lake Town funding. And that's why we have to increase it from 2 million to 3 million, anticipating that we're going to have to resurface that roadway before Treasure Chest opens up in about 3 or 4 months.
We're waiting to do that road until Treasure Chest opens through the construction.
We hope to do that roadway probably in March before they open up.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Al?
Yes, I just want to add, thank you, Jose, for the explanation, and that's the reason for the explanation. No matter where the money comes from, it's all taxpayer dollars.
Yes, but
that's the reason for the explanation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Schwartz.
Everybody has to kind of question these prices. Kind of figured it out. That's approximately $180 a foot to do asphalt. So you try to go that, we're doing probably 600 yards over there on by the Treasure Chest. So you kind of make those calculations there, and that's becoming astronomical. Even now, I just paid $27,000 for 150 feet. Gives you an idea how much, why everything costs like it does. But it's one of those things.
All right. Anybody else? Councilman in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 15H is summary ordinance number 13,457. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from J. Calderera and Company Incorporated for South Kenner Drainage Improvements Project in the amount of $2,777,700 for the Department of Federal Program Compliance.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Schwartz. Anybody wishing to speak on this item? Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we can just get an explanation on it.
This is a project that is going to be financed with flood mitigation assistance grant and local money. We had 6 bidders. J. Calderera and Company was the low bid. The project, the primary purpose for that project is to either minimize or totally eliminate all the flooding that occurs along Williams Boulevard between the tracks and Jefferson Highway every time we have a high-intensity rain event. That project starts on Williams by Shore Street, okay? There's gonna be some amount of work done on Williams, obviously, because we're trying to minimize or eliminate the flooding that takes place on Williams. Then it's gonna proceed west on Shore to Daniel, south on Daniel, west on Lloyd Price, north on Duncan Street, and then we gotta cross the railroad tracks. That's why we needed some more geotechnical services before the railroad company allows to cross the railroad tracks. So it's federal money and it's local money that is financing this drainage project.
What are the percentages?
I think it's like, I don't remember, I think it's 50-50.
Okay. Okay, and it's, So this is the flood mitigation issue
This
that we
is
have.
flood
on Williams.
mitigation assistance grant that has been approved by FEMA.
Okay,
This is a project that's been going on, design-wise, for, I don't know, 6, 7, or 8 years. 2011. It had not been advanced, similar to Williams Boulevard and Powell Boulevard, some projects that just laid back, were not being advanced. We were gonna lose the federal money, so we had to finalize the design and bid the project, otherwise we would have lost the federal money.
do we have any projected start date?
Well, once this is adopted, we're gonna enter into a contract with the low bidder, which happens to be J. Calderero. That's probably gonna take another 2 to 3 weeks, and start date probably is gonna be no later than mid-April, early April.
Great news, thank you. Thank you very much.
It looks like the split is 65-35.
Maybe so.
So you were very close. Thank you, Jose.
Anybody else? Councilmember Veyer, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Seeing none, motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance approving amendment number 1 to the agreement with Vulcan Incorporated doing business as Vulcan Aluminum for the purchase of aluminum sheet and sign blanks, increasing the agreement amount by $40,000 annually for a total not to exceed amount of $80,000 annually. Item 16B is an ordinance authorizing the purchase of laptops and related items on an as-needed basis from Lenovo under State of Louisiana contract number 44000-28711 in an amount not to exceed $200,000 annually. Item 16C is an ordinance ratifying the emergency purchase of 5 Ford Interceptor vehicles from Kirk Auto Group in the amount of $219,500 for the Kenner Police Department. Item 16D is an ordinance approving a professional services agreement with T. Baker Smith, LLC, regarding the resurfacing of Loyola Drive, 31st Street to West Loyola Drive, state project number H.015554, federal aid project number H.015554, and an amount not to exceed $266,685 for the Department of Public Works. Item 16E is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Black Star Diversified Enterprises to purchase LED lighting and materials in accordance with seal bid number 23-6802 in an amount not to exceed $64,268.50. Item 16F is an ordinance ratifying the emergency replacement of the 250 HP blower motor at wastewater treatment plant by Motors and Controls Incorporated in an amount of $19,998 for the Department of Wastewater. Item 16G is an ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of lots 6 through 10, square 5, lots 1 through 20, square 7, and tract L into lot 8A, Centanni subdivision, Kenner Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees.
One thing, hold on. One thing I want to mention, this morning we had a code sweep out in Newport with this, Chief Conley was out there and the code department, Catherine Topple. It was in response to a murder that happened in my district Monday, which was awful. We removed abandoned cars today in that area, and I want to assure the residents of Beachview Heights that the city is very attuned to what's happening out there. We need to get rid of the junk, the stuff that promotes crime, criminality, activity. Very good job this morning, Chief Conley. Thank you for being out there. The tow trucks, we got rid of long-standing tag cars that have been sitting there, and those abandoned vehicles are havens for crime. So you arrested the guy within almost 24 hours. You did an absolute splendid job. I had a lot of people calling me, but the department we have is just second to none. And thank you, Catherine, for getting your guys out there today to assist in all that. It was a very, very great job.
Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to reconsider or remove from the tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
All right, first up, we have Mr. James Hudspeth. Am I saying that right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hudspeth. Okay, thank you for coming. You're going to have 3 minutes, and you can start now.
Okay, I've been sent here to read
You need to come up to the microphone so everybody can hear you, please. Thank you.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I've been sent here to read this statement into the record for Ivy Waste. Ivy Waste was invited in 2020 to Kenner by 4 of the existing council members and the previous administration to fix their garbage problems, and we did. The only reason Ivy Waste is leaving Kenner is because the new administration clearly did not want us there and stopped paying their bills. Even after consent judgment was signed, Ivy Waste spent the last 3 years asking for explanations and requesting to meet, so we would not have to stop services, but the city essentially ignored those requests. The city ignored the 10 default letters Ivy Waste sent for unpaid bills, and the consent judgment, which is why Ivy Waste was forced to terminate the contract, although the city has falsely alleged overbilling. There have been no finding of that. Ivy Waste will prove that in court. What has already been proven in an audit, the city is wrong. And a further false defamatory statements continue to be made by the mayor and his administration or council members tonight. And moving forward, we will take appropriate legal action to defend the truth and hard-earned reputation for quality of service. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Mr. Al Morella. Al, you know the rules. You got 3 minutes. Let's roll.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 52 years. Before I start, I'd like to take a moment of silence for the 3 Navy military personnel who died in Jordan because of an incompetent White House. Thank you. Also, I would like to express my gratitude to our dedicated parish employees who got our water back up and running the same night during the night hours. Them personnel worked, they worked night and day. They worked round the clock to get our water restored, which was predicted to take 2 days, that we could have been without water 2 days. So I want to express my gratitude to those parish employees as well. Waste Pro, you didn't answer my question. Not at all. You didn't even come close. But I'll tell you, you did answer it in an indirect way. The only thing we got now that we didn't have before is a 35% increase. Now, Councilman Wilmine, I agree with you. I don't like this either. The citizens of Kenner was put between a rock and a hard place. So let me put you on notice, Waste Pro. You're going to be put behind a rock and a hard place as well. Because I'm going to have you under the microscope, just like I did Ivy Waste. And buddy, I won't hesitate to make that call at all. And one more thing, we got the 180-day clause in this contract, Miss City Attorney. Any problem, I expect that 180-day clause to be invoked effective immediately. Now, I want to, since this is Black History Month, I want to give a little history here. A book called Images of America that focuses on Kenner's history, okay, by Mr. Broussard and Mr. Frank Bourne. In that book, they say that Scipio Hutchinson, an African-American, was appointed by the occupation federal forces, federal military, Union forces, as mayor of Kennerville. They don't give no year. They just say during Reconstruction. Reconstruction ended in Louisiana in 1877, but it continued on in other southern states in the South. Okay? Now, there was no year given. Anyway, the research indicates there was no documentation to that effect. But the book says Mr. Cyprian Hutchinson it was a brief stint as mayor of Kennerville.
All right,
and at
Mr.
that
Morella.
time, 85% of the population was African American, 25% were landowners.
I gave you 5 extra seconds during the
That's
moment of
okay, man.
silence.
I appreciate
Thank
that.
you so
When
much.
when I give you time back, remember that.
All righty.
Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Greg Teft. 3 minutes.
Greg Taft, 5th District. Actually, what I have is a question for Chief Connolly, if you don't mind. Due to the recent things that's been going on, and you've been on the news a couple times regarding some of the crime that's going on in the city, at what point do you feel you're going to be staffed with the officers to where we could start giving more, showing more officers out in the street, which does deter crime? At what point do you think you're going to reach that level? And that's really all I have is just to find out when the citizens can feel like, we're going to be turning in the right direction. Right now, we got a lot of crime going on. Thank you.
Chief
Yeah,
Connolly?
yeah, I'll be more than happy to answer that. Actually, we're down about 20% in our crime stats than we were last year. So the citizens of Kenner don't have anything to worry about because of the work of the men and women of the Kenner Police Department and the dedication and professionalism they exhibit. We do have all beats filled, be it by overtime, but we find a way to get it done, and that's a credit to them and their efforts. To your question, though, back in July when I came in a year and a half ago, we had 111 sworn officers. We now have an academy that's going to graduate in 2 weeks. They have another 12 weeks to go through, of course, but that'll put us about 141. I'd like to get to 160. We do have another academy that will be starting a month after this one graduates, and that should have probably 10 to 15 people in it. So because of the support of the council and this administration, we were able to get the equipment needed, the salary up, and we did move a recruiter in, and we have a couple contracts that give us a lot of exposure through social media. So, again, crime has gone down in Kenner because of the efforts of the men and women of the department. The citizens know they should have nothing to fear. The shooting the other night was an isolated incident. It was not a random crime. The shooter and the victim knew each other. We believe there was either a drug deal gone bad or some bad blood between the parties. But we'll continue our efforts to clean that area up as well as, maintain a presence in Kenner. But I think what you're asking is when will we see more police on the streets? And we're getting there. So with the graduation of this academy and the next one, our numbers should be good.
Great to hear. Councilman Schwartz.
Thank you, sir. I know it was mentioned earlier that we had 3 individuals that had retired, Terry, Iggy, and Lance. I was fortunate enough to have Terry as one of my captains when I was district chief. Lance I worked with, and Iggy, I relieved him over at Station 38. So we've been dealing together for a many long time. Iggy taught me everything I knew about medical. He was a fantastic guy. We're going to lose him. Also, don't know if it was mentioned, tomorrow we have graduation. Is that correct there, Mr. Dyer? At Church of the King over at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So, Councilman, let's go ahead and let's support our firemen. And let's show the citizens of Kenner that the millage that they passed is going to help these individuals. The more people that we have, the stronger our fire department will be. And I miss it very much. Thank you.
Next up, Karen Nugent. She left. Okay. Next up, Sean McBride. Okay. Ms. Bride, thank you for...
My question was very much related to yours, sir, and that is I'm representing some of my neighborhood, and just additional questions about, are we being inundated or affected by some of the gangs and the illegals that are bleeding over into our community from other larger cities?
All right, well, this spawns from some attention that the governor has shed on us. In conversations I've had with the governor, one of the frustrating parts of law enforcement, and it's not unique to Kenner, this is across the whole country. When these undocumented people come into the country and these children, you know, we're having a real problem with juvenile crimes, and some of these juveniles at 14 years old have raked up 7, 8, 9 felony arrests. And, you know, we're fortunate with the adults that we can call our federal agencies and get them detained and deported. But, you know, our big problem in Kenner is juvenile crime. And we need help. I expressed that to the governor, and he's carried the torch. I'm sure other governors are hearing it across the country. There was a summit last Sunday in Texas that this was brought up. So, you know, as far as gangs, these aren't gangs like back in the 80s and the 70s and so much as the 90s where they're fighting over territories. These are loosely associated juveniles that are posting things on social media. Their violence, I fear, is going up in an upward climb. They're getting more and more brazen because there's no consequences to their actions. So, you know, we deal with it, and we have it pretty well contained in Kenner. But anybody that doesn't think that they have a juvenile issue in their community because of these situations are sadly mistaken. But, you know, law enforcement needs help. It takes resources. It takes, you know, it takes a combined effort. I have reached out to the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Louisiana. We've met. I've met with his top prosecutors about this issue, with my top staff and my investigators. They are receptive. There is a game plan going forward. I've met with members of the Hispanic community that, you know, have been also vocal about, you know, these elements that come in and they're a scourge on their community and society. And, you know, they're here making an honest living and making a difference in the community. They don't want this outside element in either. So, you know, that's been what some of the hype has been, or some of the attention that's been given, you know, to the juvenile crimes across this region, across this country. And, you know, I'm thankful that we have a governor that is receptive to that, who is actually in law enforcement. And he has reached out to me on several occasions to see what we need and what our ask could be of the federal government, and he has a seat at the table. So, you know, that's what's been going on that line.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay.
Next up, we have Wendy Whitsett. I'm sorry about that. Ms. Whitsett, thank you for coming. You'll have 3 minutes, okay?
Always.
All right.
All right, my name is Wendy Whitsett. I work with the communities, doing different things in the community, all different communities in Kenner, where I live at. And I support a lot of things that goes on in Kenner. And what I got up to say is to speak on other people's behalf that couldn't get out and come here, and they can't do Facebook and can't do Messenger and send you things and on a computer because they don't have that access. They register voters and they vote, and they understand about the garbage situation. And I'm here to talk about them for a couple minutes. The first thing is the handicap. Well, we getting another service for our garbage, and half of them, when they're handicapped, they have the handicap ID. They give it to the garbage truck, the person who drives the truck, and they come back and return and give them a sticker. It's a state handicap ID that they get. So when y'all picking up cans, giving them new cans, and they getting all mixed up and stuff, if you see a handicap sign on it already, why not just put one on it if it haven't already? Because some of them are house and they can't even come outside. You know, to get the kids, grandkids, or whatever, to bring their garbage out there. But you're saying you have to fill out some kind of paper and do this and do that. They can't do all that. They can't do all that. But they can show their handicap ID to you. Some of them is 80 and 90 years old. How you want them to go do this and do that and do this? They want garbage to be picked up. They pay their taxes and everything. And what I like about what you said was, you're gonna do it, but I'm just saying, just make it a little bit more, you know, better for them. If you see a handicap sign on that can, put another handicap sign there. What's so hard? It's already there. That's part one. Wait a minute, hold up. Okay. The next one is, and I'm still talking about the older people in our generation. Okay, the next one is when these cans break. We know you got 10 years, right? The can wear and tear is gonna be, they're gonna wear out before 10 years. So, and they're gonna break and they're gonna do this, and some of them can't see what's going on outside. They inside. So if they can broke, they can come tell you they can broke. So you're gonna have someone out there to monitor this, a special person or whatever, because we have a lot of senior citizens. So we need to make sure them two things is done. And then the last thing I wanna say, I wanna thank my mayor. My mayor is doing a great job with y'all, because it's hard for us, and it's hard for him, I'm quite sure, to deal with us. And I'm talking about us, I mean everybody. And he's doing a great job. And I've always say, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Whitsett. Last, we have Ms. Stacy Alejandro.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. First off, I wanted to thank the council for approving my request earlier. Thank you guys very much. Okay. I'm going to work very hard, and I'm going to make you guys proud. The second thing is I wanted to say to the public that if you want more information about Camptown USA, right now you can go on Facebook and look us up, Camptown USA. There is some information there, but now that it's been approved, then we're going to go ahead tomorrow and put a whole lot more information out there tomorrow. So for now, there is some on there. You'll get a general idea if you'd like to look us up. Second thing is I wanted to talk about the mayor's Parks and Recreation Committee. We had our first meeting on Monday, hugely successful. Charles Elaine and Natalie Newton put on a wonderful presentation, gave us an overview of kind of where the city stands, Parks and Rec, and the committee, it just has a ton of impressive people on it. I'm so excited. I think they're going to do some great things. Bob Bales was elected the chairman. He has already worked so hard with so many things. So, Mayor, I want to thank you for putting that group of people together. I think it's going to be amazing. And the last thing is I wanted to talk to Mr. Murphy. So I wanted to let you know I was very skeptical about this today. Kenner residents have been through it all with our garbage. It's insane. As you know, we've had 3 garbage contractors in, 4 years? I mean, this is ridiculous. But this administration had inherited so many problems, and now they're trying to fix everything, and I appreciate that. Like I said, I was skeptical, but you impressed me today. Everything that I heard really impresses me, and like Al Morella said, you know you're going to be held to everything that you promised us today. We're going to hold you to it, and I'm sure that you are going to come through and do everything you said. I had actually advocated for you way back when they were trying to, get the new garbage company to come in. I wanted a Kenner company to come in and have a seat at the table and at least try to bid, and you were shut out. But you're here now, and I'm very happy about that. And I think Kenner's moving in the right direction, so thank you guys.
All right, Stacy. Mayor Glazer.
Thanks. Yes, since you talk about the Mayor's Recreation Advisory Committee, we had to get some paperwork done and have a first meeting just to get some housekeeping done before we unleash them on, y'all onto them. So we'll let you know when the next meetings are. I know y'all have ideas. And the best thing I heard tonight was Stacy Alessandro is nervous at the microphone up there. Because I can tell you, when she calls me, she's not nervous. And when she starts yelling, there's no nerves. There's just balking, complaints and commands. So thank y'all.
Thank you. I wanted Richard Brown to walk up and oppose Stacy's legislation. I thought that would have been funny, but it's not April 1st yet. Nothing else? Looks like I'm entertaining a motion to adjourn. Happy Mardi Gras to everyone.